Okay, hopefully this is working. I've had a few technical issues, whoops, like I always do. And you know who caused those technical issues? My little Black Menace, which I have put out for now. And hopefully I'll let him in later, but I'm going to try to go without him as much as I can. Now, anyway, as you know, last week I did not have a Saturday Live because I went to the neighborhood flea market, which is at the church down the street, and I also drove to University of Miami to the ham radio flea market that they have. Now, that one was smaller than it's ever been. Normally, you would get, I don't know, maybe 20 different people, but this time I think there was 8 people over there. But the good thing is I did find a few interesting things. For example, I found this, and it's like the one that I use on my phone. Now, I haven't done any of these videos lately, but in the early days of YouTube, there was no live stream. This capability did not exist. And most videos that we made could only be about 12 minutes long. So it was only certain channels, I guess when you got a certain amount of subscribers, that you were able to have longer videos. So what I would do back then, I did these call-in videos. And back then I was making videos about energy scams. So we had these, water for gas, or, run your car on fairy dust, or whatever this crap was. The energy saver that you plug into your house and it reduces your electric bill. And I did all these tests proving that it was all scams. Just like most of the things you see today are scams. And what I would do, I'd have somebody call in and I'd ask him, I said, well, you purchased the water for gas kit, and what was your experience? And then they would relate it. So what I would do, I'd have them call me on the phone while I was making the video with my old camera, and then using one of these telephone patch devices, as you can see here, and this is from Radio Shack, so you know it's old. See? But anyway, I found this, along with the original box at the ham radio flea market. And at the neighborhood flea market, I found it was mostly junk, but I actually found a seller that I hadn't seen in a while, and he had something I could use. I don't know where it is, but he had some size 15 sneakers, which you don't see those that often. And I haven't had sneakers in probably a couple of years, because the last pair that I had, they lasted about 3 to 4 months, and then they broke. As you know, I have big feet. Half the time, my socks don't even last. As you can see, there's always holes in them. They don't last. Nothing today lasts like it used to. But on the other hand, it was fun to go there and explore. Now, at the flea market, it was mostly junk, just a bunch of household crap, a bunch of ceramic figurines and glass things and furniture, some chairs and stuff like that. A bunch of women's clothes. I mean, there are tons of women's clothes. It's like when I do a clean out, I always have bags and bags of women's clothes. And you know where they all go? They all go to one of the local thrift stores or whatever, because there's no value to it. Most women don't want to wear somebody else's clothes, even if they're brand new. They've got people conditioned to change clothing styles all the time. Now, us guys, we don't care. When I was younger, you'd be lucky if you could find somebody that had a shirt that wasn't torn or deliberately have parts taken off. And jeans, they always had holes in them. Pants had holes and stuff like that. So we weren't really concerned about it, but definitely women, they like to have a certain style, and that's good. But anyway, yeah, it was kind of an experience, and it was fun. I was able to go there and look around and meet some of the people that are there. One of the guys that was selling at the sale, he actually was there last year and the year before. And, I'm one of those people that everybody recognizes. When you're as tall as I am and as skinny as I am, you are one of a kind. There is nobody else in this town that looks like me. Now, this time of the year, you may see a few tall people because it's around that spring break time. And if you go to the right place, you're going to see these college kids. And it's interesting because you can always tell who the tourists are. They tend to be the ones that are tall and lean. But then again, most of the tourists today are tall and heavy. So the leaner people do tend to be the European tourists. and the heavier people tend to be the ones that are born and raised in this country, which I think is kind of interesting. So anyway, let's check out some of the comments, and we see the first person who was here was Ribeye Rob. He says present and has looks like a cat symbol and 3 ducks. So that fits me perfectly. And United Carnivore says greetings from Tampa Bay, and Rick says greetings from Miami. Sandy Blythe, outstanding. Josephine C, howdy, beautiful people. And let's see, Terry Sue, I like the icon screen, very nostalgic, reminiscent of A&W days. That was actually my friend David DC that you'll see me with a lot of times on his chat. He decided to make that, and I thought it was kind of cute, so I put it there. I'm going to make some changes, of course, but it's only a matter of time. And let's see, what is it called? Okay, did anyone... Okay. Oh, good. Did anyone see Dr. Nelson went and visit Mitch? Awesome. He's looking good. Well, that's good. And, because Mitch is on the carnivore diet, he will recover. Maybe not 100% to what he was, but he'll be good enough. He'll be back online. And I said this from the beginning. You can't kill that old man that easily. He will find a way. Anyone that has the initiative to go on the carnivore diet generally is a stubborn person and is not going to give up easily and is going to keep going. But like I've said many times, I tell you, Mitch, take the month off. He always says, take the rest of the day off and eat meat. Well, I say, take the rest of the month off and eat meat, and we'll be here when you come back. That's a great thing about the carnivore community. Unlike the vegan community, we stick together. We're not fighting with each other. And the ones that are trying to profit off of this get knocked out pretty quickly. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that today. And let's see. Good morning, all from Melbourne, Florida. Okay. Father of United Carnivore. No, what's it called? Okay. Found it. Thanks, Josephine. I got to check that video out, too. And Terry Sue says, Mitch, he's got a ways to go. We'll have to cheerleader him on when he gets released. Yes, I think the morning coffee got him physically lazy and messed up his health routine. This is what he was doing. He was getting up at 8:30. Now, I do an 8 o'clock myself, but again, I'm a skinny guy. I've never been sick. I mean, I've had the flu, but I don't have any health conditions that are chronic. I mean, he had kidney stones. And then on top of that, he had to go on that trip all the way to Tampa. And then he got the flu over there. And, it's like my dad. My dad was relatively healthy until he got a really bad flu, and then it attacked his heart. So when you're old like he is, and again, I mean, he may be healthy, but he looks old. I mean, that's normal. I mean, he was unhealthy for years. They showed the pictures of when he was overweight. He looks better now than he did back then, but he ain't no 20-something. And it's kind of interesting because most of my subscribers, I've noticed, are in that 24 to 35 range. And that's the best range to try the carnivore diet. But when you try it later, I mean, you have all that old damage that's working on your body, and it's not going to go away. I mean, you can slow down the damage, but you're not going to be able to reverse all of it. That's impossible. When you look old on the outside, you're old on the inside. There is no way around that. But the thing is, you've already done all that damage. It's like a car that's rusted out. You're not going to fix the rust by stopping the rust. With a car, you have to cut the rust out, weld in new metal, and then you can renew it. But our body, you can't do that. You can't go off the shelf and get a new heart and new lungs and whatever else. You have to work with what you got. It's like an old piece of equipment. It leaks. It makes noise. But if you know what you're doing, it's like my van. The transmission is bad. I'm not going to pull my trailer with it, but I've been driving around. I mean, I've gone as far as Broward County. I could probably drive down to the Keys in that thing as long as I understand the limitations. So what Mitch is going to do, and I know him reasonably well. I mean, I don't know him that well because he does kind of keep to himself. But I know that he will be doing his best. And I think he might watch. I don't know if he watches our videos because I know a lot of popular YouTubers don't watch other people's videos. But if he does, let's keep encouraging him because no matter what happens, whether he comes back one day a week like me or he comes back every day, doesn't matter. We're here for you. So don't feel like, you're under pressure because you're not. And there's a lot of us out there. The rest of us can take up the slack. I can do a day. Somebody else can do a day. And it's kind of nice to have everybody on sort of different days. I think watching the same person over and over again, it's a good routine. But sometimes it gets a little old. And it's nice to have different voices and different personalities. All right, let's see what else we got here. Now we have 27 people. That's very good. I'm waiting for the first day when we pass 100. The most we've had was in the 60s. So let's see if we can get more than 100 people here, and that'll be good. And let's see what else we got. Oh, possibility I read in Discord he'll be going home soon, and physical therapy will be coming to his house. Excellent. He will love that back to routine eggs and bacon. He sure will. Rick needs some 1960s music playing while we wait. Yes, if it wasn't for the stupid perpetual copyright that they got, it's like 100 years or more. I think the only thing now that would be considered public domain would be 1925 and before. By the time the 1960s comes up, I'll be over 100 years old if I'm still alive. And who knows, who knows what will happen? We may be living in the Stone Age. There may be no internet. There may be hardly any electricity. I may be living off of wood gas again. Who knows? But hey, we'll figure something out. I'll have to come up with some AI-generated something similar. I thought about actually taking classical music and using some kind of software and then using the instruments like you'd use back in the 60s, the Hammond organ and, maybe bass guitar and all that, and make a 60s version of a classical tune. But we'll see. That's one of the reasons why we have the community. You guys can help me to find this. And then I introduce myself. I'm playing Grapevine. I don't know what that is. It would fit your persona perfectly. Yes, it would. Grapevine is a long song. Oh, you must mean I heard it through the grapevine. Is that what it is? That's 60s. Yeah, it's a Motown song, I think. Hopefully that's what it is. And let's see. Feeling good. Sounds good. Yes. Hi, guys. Good morning. Good morning, Dawn Schonger. Lori's Carnivore Story says hi. Rosie Red says good morning, Rick. Terry Sue says morning all. And she said, I miss Radio Shack. Okay. Yes, we all miss Radio Shack, I think. And Lamb says good morning all. And I say good morning. And Simply Human, top of the bottom to you. Okay. Booby Goats is here. And I'm sure you've checked out her channel. She's done some morning lives as well. So we have plenty of substitutes here for Mitch until he gets better, which he will. Just a matter of time. And let's see. Up Syndrome says hello. Josephine C says lion roar. LOL. Roar. And Booby Goats. Hi from your future. Yes. Sandra McDonald. And howdy, Aaron. Hi, Rick, and everyone from He Walks With Me, Stephanie. Well, hello. And my co-host will be here later on. Not right now. I want to keep things a little calm because he does have a tendency to attack. And he'll be here eventually. Okay. Hi, Mama, Aaron. Okay. Hi, Josephine. Hi, Sandy. I've got poison ivy on my hand. Ooh. As you know, I grow poison ivy as sort of a hobby. I have poison wood, which is a poisonous tree, poison ivy, and the manchineal tree. And believe it or not, I am not allergic to any of them. Somehow I've been able to escape. So the only thing I am allergic to is that horrible velvet bean, which is that nasty thing that has fur on it, and that stuff just tortures me. Okay, let's see what else we have here. One day a week is best, keeps the viewer's interest. Yeah, I think so. That's all I can do. I work all the time, so I don't have time to do it every day. And look who else is here. It is Bob, semi-retired Bob, the off-grid carnivore. Morning, Rick from Ohio. Okay, so he's out of town now. Yeah, he didn't have his live on Friday because he's in Ohio. So I kind of missed that, but hey. And then Polish Mike says, hello, Quack Fitz. Yeah, this is where the quacks like to hang out. Rick Fitz. Yeah, it doesn't quite go like that. I was trying to think something that would be Rick, Rusty Rick's, quacks or something like that. I'm not sure. When I used to do CB, that's what they call me, Rusty Rick, because everything I drove was Rust Bucket. Okay, your vid yesterday was entertaining, Booby Goats. Yeah, right? There you go. Random drive on it. Yeah, she got some entertaining videos, that's for sure. I think I commented on it too. You can play music, you just can't monetize any of that. And you don't monetize your channel anyways. Okay. I do that all the time. Oh, so Ray is back. That's great. I hadn't seen a video from you until a few days ago, and YouTube didn't even notify me. But if you haven't checked out Ray at Michigan Hay, he's one of the people that produce meat, and he also produces hay, which is very important for our lifestyle. He's not a carnivore, but he is a meat eater, And I think in his diet, he eats natural foods as well as meat and animal products, and he looks good for his age. He's, I think, a year older than me, or around the same age. He's lean. He's not overweight. So check him out if you want. You never know. The best YouTube channels, in my opinion, are the smaller ones because we're willing to communicate with each other. Okay, I'm sure. Hey there. Thanks, Terry. Coconut oil is magical. There's nothing magical about coconut oil, but, you know, it works for some people. And at the Lori's Carnivore Store, you can get a copyright strike with a non-monetized channel. Yeah, that's true. Good morning, all. Good morning, Paul. I have heard during the Lewis and Clark expedition, they were eating large quantities of meat. Yeah, that was that guy, Stephenson or whatever, was testing that theory. And I think he went on a meat-only diet for a year and did fine. So there was a guy that grew poison plants for fun and died from contact of one of the plants. It might have been the manchineel tree. I have a manchineel tree in my backyard. It's going to be interesting when I move out of here. I'm debating whether to leave it there or to remove it because I really don't want to, cause a disaster. I ripped that thing out of the ground. First of all, this is the only one, I think, in the entire county. I have a few plants here that are extremely rare, but that one is also toxic, and it's getting pretty big, so I don't know. Let's see. Lori is right. Okay, don't talk crap about Milt. He's going to be the future star of the show when cat cams are set up. Well, I'm going to try to get him used to riding around in the van, and as long as I have the air conditioning on and he can't jump out, I'll take him on a ride for the van. I may take him in the truck also. I'm going to try to get him a cat harness. I always had a cat harness for my cats so I could walk them, and it was quite funny because my first cat, which was also a black cat, was so tame he'd walk with me like a dog. But it was really funny. If he got scared, he'd jump and grab onto me, climb up on me. I mean, it was cute. And then one time he got into it with a dog. I'll never forget. Dog sneaked up on him. He went into complete cat crazy mode, attacked the dog, took off, and he was on the back of the dog with the leash dragging behind. I'm chasing after him like, oh my goodness. But, cats are entertaining. Okay. It's thundering outside and it's super windy. Rick, did you see the red moon? Yes, I did. I was out last night. I did see the moon. It wasn't really red, but it was sort of reddish. And Sandy Blythe says, bad weather headed here in Florida. Tonight, tomorrow. I got news for you. Once that weather reaches my area, it will die out. Every single one of these rain fronts, they disappear. Once they come over my house, they disappear, which is good. Because my roof isn't the greatest. I've been patching it, but, it has some problems. So I haven't gotten rain here in at least 6-7 weeks. Now, on the bad side, that means that the brush fire season is starting. We can always judge our hurricane season by the brush fire season. The last few years, it's been pretty rainy. So we had no hurricanes. But this year, I don't know. The jury's still out on this one. We're coming into another hurricane cycle. The last time that Miami got a direct hit from a hurricane was in 1926. There's been other hurricanes that hit the state, and there was Andrew that hit south of here. It actually damaged this area too. But the last major hurricane was in 1926, and Miami is so overbuilt today. If we get another hurricane, there's going to be 10 feet of water flowing in there, a lot of wind. These high-rises are going to be flooded out. It's going to be the ultimate disaster with an insurance crash and people leaving. It's going to turn Miami into Detroit if it's big enough now. Of course, usually after 10 years, people forget. I think the window is like 10 to 15 years, like after Andrew. 10 years after Andrew, people were still panicking. So, but then again, by, I would say, the year 2000, the real estate bubble was already inflating. So even though Andrew hit 92, the place was pretty much dead until maybe 96, 97, when the dot-com bubble started coming up in 98. That's when the money comes here. And Miami's one of those places you can't really make money, but it's a great place to waste money. So if you're out there with a crypto scam or you're out there with some kind of, other scam, you'll go out there, rob people, and then you come running to Miami. And there's actually a house not that far from here that I call an influencer house. I'll have to make a video of it when I get a chance. They got there's a Lamborghini, there's some Corvettes, there's some other exotic car. You have a bunch of 20-somethings out there, and they're always taking pictures. So what they're probably doing, and it was a neat little house. It was a nice little wooden house in the old days. They tore that down. They built this McMansion, but it's such a small lot. It's actually quite comedy, you know. I don't know if they're using it as an Airbnb or what it is, but there's just a lot of these young people that hang out there, and they drive up and down the neighborhood with their exotic cars. I get a good laugh out of them, you know. Years ago, that happened back after the last bubble when we had the real estate bubble. And I remember we had some of those people, and I used to torture them. I'd get my old truck, and I turned down the pump so it put out a lot of black smoke. And every time I saw one of them with their exotic cars, I'd, floor it and smoke them out with tons of black smoke. And they're over there coughing. And, it was kind of funny because I hate scammers. I hate people that use other people as a way to get rich. The thing that bothers me about the scammers is that most of them, they act like they're really smart and that they had some secret way of getting rich. But really, the way they're getting rich is they're stealing from the people that watch them. And that's what it is. So I get a laugh out of it. The thing is that when the economy did take a crap, they were gone. The place basically was foreclosed. They're out of there because, it really comes down to your audience. And what I've noticed is that the teenagers, the early 20-somethings are the easiest ones to scam. They don't have a lot of experience. They have a little money to work with. They're either in college or out of college, and they follow a lot of these so-called influencers, and then they just, they send them money, and I guess they feel like they're part of a group, but they're not, because none of these influencers care a single thing about any of them. If you try to contact them directly, they will ignore you. Even if you're in this area, I've known several people that have belonged to these coaching clubs or whatever. I said, look, the guy's in Miami. Why don't you try to meet up with him? It never happens. They will never, ever meet you because they realize that once you meet them, it's a scam and you're not going to see them as somebody to look to. And my theory has always been this. If a person is really successful, they're not out there trying to get people to watch you. They're just out there doing their thing and being successful. So if they're trying to get your attention, then you are the product. They are farming you. They're basically milking you for whatever you can give them. Okay. Do you make your own toothpaste? What I do, I use lard and I use baking soda. And I keep saying I want to make a video. I just haven't done it. I just don't have the time. I need to get my little iPhone that I use for filming is all full of files, and I was trying to get the files out of it, but for some reason it wasn't letting me, do a cut and paste. There's a problem with it, so I think I let it get so full that I'm not able to get the files out easily. I did have a computer set up with the Nextcloud software that I could download from, but that computer broke, and like everything else, I just didn't have the ambition to fix it. So, but I'll get it eventually. But yeah, the way that I brush my teeth, I take a toothbrush, I get some lard, I rub the toothbrush around in the lard, then I pour baking soda on it, and then I brush my teeth with that. The baking soda obviously does the cleaning, but baking soda by itself can wear your teeth down, and it can irritate your gums. So what I do, I put lard on there, and the lard not only holds the baking soda on there, but it helps keep your teeth from being damaged, just like polishing compound. If you've ever polished the paint on your car, you don't just pour scouring powder on there and rub it with a dry rag because you'll ruin your paint job. You'll make it dull and ugly. But if you use rubbing compound, it's like a wax that has a little bit of abrasive in it, and you can polish your car to a beautiful shine. Not that I have anything that's worth cleaning because all my vehicles are crap, but when I did have a decent Charger, and one of these days when I move and I have my garage I can work on and I restore my car again, then I'll be out there cleaning it, waxing it, whatever. But the most important thing is if you're going to use baking soda like I do, make sure that you use a fat like lard or tallow, and then that way it will spread it out on your teeth. It'll clean it. And really, what it comes down to, when you're brushing your teeth, you're just trying to dislodge food particles, and you're actually trying to, just trying to keep the acids, the bacteria, and all that off your teeth. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take off these vintage earphones because it gets a little bit hot in here, and I'll set this off to the side. And then that way I'll be a little more comfortable. Okay, it snowed here yesterday. Rosie, was a lunar eclipse. Yes. The lard cleaning vid was a useful, thankful. Yes, I'm glad. And I do that all the time when I make my heart attack chicken. Now, I've run out of heart attack chicken, and there is no chicken on sale, but I do have a turkey that somebody gave me. It's defrosting in the refrigerator. So to get my poultry, I'll probably be eating turkey for a couple of, 2 or 3 days. One turkey is generally good for 2 to 3 meals, depending on the way you do it. Once I defrost the turkey, I cut the legs off, I cut the wings off, I fry those up, and that's one meal. Then the turkey breast, I'll cut that in half, and each half is good for a meal. So that's actually pretty nice. Okay. Interesting about those influencers. Yes, they've always been the same. They don't change. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the carnivore community and why we are different. We are not like them. Not even close. All right. Love the thumbnail, Milton. Yes, that was my friend made that for me. The Poison Garden is at the Alnwick Garden. I've heard about that in Northumberland, England. Is one of the deadliest gardens in the world. It features around 100 toxic, intoxicating, and narcotic plants. And my yard has at least 10 toxic, intoxicating, and narcotic plants, maybe more like 15. As you know, I have Angel's Trumpet right there in the front yard. I actually have a coca plant like they used to make cocaine out of in the backyard. I have the poison wood, poison ivy, poison oak, manchineel, and then there's several different native plants that are poisonous. There's a lily. There's just a lot of poisonous plants here. I like to show people that, yes, you can survive on certain plant parts, but the vast majority of plant parts are toxic. And even the ones that are edible, they still have toxins. I mean, think about a dog. If some animals, like a cat, eats an avocado, they can get very, very, very sick. Now, for me, when I eat an avocado, I throw up pretty quickly. There are some avocados that I can eat and tolerate, maybe 2 or 3 bites, but then after that, I start feeling queasy and will throw up. So when I grow avocados for other people and I have to taste test them, it's always like, ugh. And you'll see avocados rotting around my yard when nobody picks them up because I hate them. I really hate avocados. But what I will do, I will take a bite of it. And I know what avocados actually taste good. And some of them, they do have a more creamy or yogurt-like taste. And those are tolerable to me. And those are the favorites for my friends. The ones that are extremely bitter and hard, I know those are no good. And those are basically just duck food. Now, ducks can eat avocados and rodents can eat avocados without a problem. But then again, rodents can eat anything. In fact, I don't know if you saw, but I was doing a clean out yesterday. And when I went through some of the stuff they had stored, I found one of those 35-pound containers of seed oils. And the handle on the seed oils had been chewed up by rodents. So the rodents were chewing on plastic to get to seed oils. And if you saw the short video I posted, or you may already know what I did with the seed oil when I got home. I stuck a funnel in the fuel filler of my van and I poured it directly in because it was a brand new container of seed oils. So that was pretty good. Okay, so what else do we have here? Ribeye Rub says, hey, Rick, and love the thumbnail. Yes, and Milton, okay. Who's the big tall quack? It is Peter, Papa Carnivore. Yes, you are here. I am the big tall quack and you are the Quack Junior. This is the quack zone. All the carnivore quacks come here as well as other quacks, which is fine. Okay. Josephine C. says bananas. Rosie Red says morning papa. Hi, Rosie. Plants are for decoration. Yes. And the thing is, being around plants and gardening makes you live longer. Everybody I know that was a gardener lived longer. So, and again, even though I'm a carnivore, I tell everybody, all life is plant-based. Life is impossible without plants because only plants can go against entropy. And entropy is the enemy of everything, including us, including all the things that we own and build. Everything we have. If I was to take a book and throw it outside in the weather, a couple of rain showers, it would already be disintegrating. I leave my car outside. I don't do anything with it. It'll sit there and rust into the ground. Eventually, it'll be nothing but a pile of iron oxide and some plastic. So it takes constant effort to fight the entropy. Our body is constantly in a state of decomposition. And when we're younger, our energy is able to overcome that. We're able to go from, a couple of cells into a baby, into a child, into a teenager, adult. We reach our peak, and then we begin the slow, long decline. Well, hopefully a slow, long decline. Actually, I believe that it should be something like this, where you go up, you level off, and go straight down. That would be that's Rick's heart attack diet in a nutshell. So think about it. You're starting here, you're born, you start to go up, and then eventually you reach your peak. You might bump around here a little bit. You start to go down, maybe up, and then boom, straight down. You go, oh, and then bam, you drop on the ground. By the time they call 911, you're already dead. You're already being digested from the inside out from the bacteria in your system. That would be ideal. Anyway, okay, let's see who else we got here. Lizzie says, hi, Rick. I said, hello. And Jonathan is here, Carnivore Muscle. He's present. I hope that you're still recovering from your surgery. I know you've had a lot of challenges lately, but don't worry. You will be back in action. It's only a matter of time. The medical system obviously is not perfect, but we're doing the best that we can, aren't we? And let's see. Recently, there was damage to a commercial fiber optic cable. Turns out it was chewed halfway through by a rodent. Imagine that, a plastic and glass meal. I'll never understand the rodents. I've seen equipment that caught fire because the rodents chewed the wires and shorted it out. I know with my Bobcat, I like to leave the battery disconnected so they don't short it out. I mean, there are rodents here too, but thankfully we have a lot of these stray cats. And inside the house, I have a black menace. So the rodent situation here has been reduced significantly. There's nothing better than a predator to keep these unwanted rodents under control. All right. Okay, let's see. Carnivore Muscle, how are you feeling? Lamb says, how many miles does your truck do on a gallon of seed oils? Aren't you worried about the difference in viscosity with diesel? Well, let me tell you something. I live in South Florida, so we only get 14 days of good weather out of the year. Other than that, it's usually warm. Now, the viscosity is not the issue. The fuel line in my truck runs over the exhaust manifold, the same area where I cook my food, by the way. So it heats up the oil very nicely. I also have a heated filter housing. When I start my truck, it'll run for a little bit in the driveway. It heats up quickly. And if I start to lose power, then I know that the oil is too high viscosity. When we do get our rare cool weather, I switch to diesel. I have 2 tanks in the van, the rear and the front. The front is full of vegetable oil, and the rear is full of diesel. So what I'll do if I know a cold front is coming on the way home, about maybe 15 minutes from the house, I'll switch over to diesel. I'll run the truck on diesel until I park it, and then I let it sit there. And the next time I have to start, it starts on diesel. It never gets cold enough here to cause any problems. As for mileage, because my engine was in such poor condition, my mileage was not that good. I was lucky to get 12 to 15 on the highway, but I was actually getting better mileage with the seed oils than the diesel because the seed oils, although they have less BTU or calories, they do burn better because seed oils are more likely to oxidize than diesel. So when those seed oils are sprayed into the hot air compressed in a diesel engine, the mileage actually went up, and I was getting up to 18 miles to the gallon. With the engine that I have, if it's as good as I think it is, once I get the flywheel and I can install it, I may be able to get the 20 miles to the gallon that I can actually get with my van. My van, of course, is a turbo diesel. It has more mileage than the truck, but I don't think it was as abused as my truck was. So my truck was running on the wrong radiator when I got it. It had a PVC tube. It had been rigged. It was owned by a Cuban guy. So, in Cuba, they rig everything. And that's what happened. This van was actually owned by a a shuttle service where they were shuttling people back and forth to the airport. And I got it for my dad in 2010. It's a 98, so it wasn't even 20 years old when I got it. And it's sat for the last 11 years until I got it running last year. So although it has a lot of mileage, that mileage was in a short period of time. So it probably was a lot of highway driving, because, short driving, you wouldn't be able to get that much mileage. But anyway, that's good. Okay. I always feel like this. Yeah, well, Jonathan has a lot of challenges. He's doing the best that he can. I give him a lot of credit for that. If I had to deal with all the struggles that he had, I don't know what I would do. I consider myself very lucky, because the only chronic condition I've ever had to deal with is my sinus issue. And, they had talked about getting an operation. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't mind sniffling from time to time. It may annoy other people, but it doesn't bother me. I feel fine. But yes. And Sandra McDonald, wishing you well, Jonathan. My fusion failed recently again. This is the thing about surgery. I think a lot of times if you have a chronic issue, like you're in a car accident or whatever, and they catch it early, they can fix a lot of problems. But I think once you've been worn down and you have all these problems, it becomes a lot more difficult. And I don't even know, even with the ideal diet, it's pretty hard to imagine that you could reverse all those problems. But all you can do is the best that you can, and do like Jonathan does and inspire others. He's inspired me a lot. This is one of the main reasons I'm on YouTube, because of him and other people that are like him. In fact, this is the reason why I shared the story of my other friend who has been a carnivore for 23 years now. And I put that up there. It was inspired by Jonathan. I figured it would be a good story that he could watch while he's resting. Okay. Tiny Tim, who had a heart attack on stage. Tiptoe through the tulips. I got a ukulele here somewhere. I need to make a parody of Tiny Tim. I remember that. Yeah. When I was a kid, they had a show called Ed Sullivan. You probably remember that. It's a really big show, Ed Sullivan show. And it was kind of interesting because Ed Sullivan was extremely funny looking. He didn't seem to be talented. I don't know why they picked him for that show. I guess comedy relief. But he was kind of an interesting character. He looked quite old for his age. But hey, what can you say? All right, let's see. Sandy, tiptoe through the tulips. Mandy Beto says, hi, Rick. Lovely to see you. Coffee and chill out. Egg yolks and lamb rump cooking. That sounds really good. Now, as you know, I don't have any coffee. What does Rick always have? Yes. The usual. Yep. Rick with his cold water, always with ice in it. People ask me, why do you drink ice water? I said, well, you know why? Because my mother used to say, you shouldn't drink ice water. It's bad for you. Even in the hot weather, it's not good. So what I do, I just drink ice water. And then on top of that, they used to tell me, if you chew ice, it'll break your teeth. I have a broken tooth, but it wasn't from ice water. That was from a fight when I was a teenager. I also have a chipped tooth right there. That's from buckshot. I was chewing on some deer meat, and I got a piece of buckshot. It snapped my tooth. So there's a chunk right there. My lower teeth are crooked because they grew in. And the thing is, this is before carnivore. And the top was just as crooked. These two were in. But after I started the carnivore diet, the top teeth moved out. And actually, this cracked one used to be cracked all the way to the base. I have to show you a picture of when I was a kid. So over the years, my teeth have actually grown longer. And even the one that's cracked, it actually remineralized on the outside of it. So it makes me wonder. Now, I saw a video that said that there was actually a way, there was some type of compound they could put when you lose a tooth where your body could grow a new one. And I thought that was interesting. And I think a lot of times our body produces chemicals that prevent us from growing things that we could have. You think of a reptile, most reptiles, they can lose their leg or foot or part of their tail and it grows back. We can't do that. There's actually a compound called myostatin that keeps you from growing additional muscle. And there are a few people that miss that, and then they're able to build muscle very easily. Of course, the other problem is their heart continues to grow until they die of a heart attack. But still, I think there's a lot of these things that there's ways that we can manipulate it. Anyway, let's see. My name is still Jonathan. Please calling me secondary. Okay. Sign up as Jonathan. Asked this before. Okay. All right. Hi, Rick. Okay. Hi, Rick. Hi, everyone. Things that bother you never bother me. I feel happy and fine. Well, that's good. That's the carnivore lifestyle. Hi, Jonathan. How are you feeling? Sorry, Jonathan, I've forgotten your name. Apple peelings will pop your teeth if it's cracked. I have many cracked teeth. I had a tough life also. Yeah, that's okay. Rick, have you ever used eBay to sell your stuff? I used to sell stuff on eBay like 20 years ago. I think the last time I sold something was before 2008. But what am I going to sell? Usually by the time I get through with something, it's garbage. I do sell stuff that I get from cleanouts, usually at my friend's yard sale. We're on the side of the road on a high traffic street, and we'll sell a load of stuff. I don't get a lot of money, but honestly, I don't care. I want to get rid of it. I'd rather, when I have a yard sale, I usually have a $20 table, a $10 table, a $5 table, and a $1 table. And at the end of the line is the free table. And the free table is nice because it stimulates interest. So the items move from one table to the next until they go to the free table. And guess what's at the end of the free table? A big can, a green can to throw it out. And thankfully, at least 90% of the stuff I pick up, somebody will take. I don't know what they do with it, but at least I don't have to throw it out. Okay. And Annabella says, okay, wait a minute. Okay, Dixie Scott says, I love ice water. And Jonathan says, why be disrespectful? Okay. And Annabella says, I drink cold water. I do too. That's good. Always feeling rough and fed up. Struggles are real for lots of people. That's right, Mandy. They are. Feel like death and always do. Thanks for asking. Congratulations on 500 subscribers. That's good. Rick, how is Milton and the ducks? Milton is just fine. He's as lively as ever. The ducks, on the other hand, they are gone again. Some more raccoons returned. The ducks took off. I'm in the process of building a new duck pen. I've got some more chain link fence. I've been going through my stuff. I was going to go ahead and put up, like a big frame. I'm just going to have to keep them captive during the nighttime. And then I'm going to go ahead and, I'll let them out during the day because the raccoons are not active during the day. Once I find out where the raccoons are hiding out, I will eliminate them one way or the other. They'll either be trapped and removed or they will be turned into a cap. And if you see me with a big raccoon cap looking like Davy Crockett, then you know what happened. So anyway, okay. Flea markets are fun, but flea circus is even funnier. There you go. I wasn't disrespecting you, okay? Called you Carnivore Muscle, couldn't remember your name. Why did Rick name his yard the Paradox Pond? Because he raises the ducks with love, then raises them on his plate. That is true. But the thing is, a lot of people around here treat the ducks badly. There's a lot of abuse of the ducks. They get their beaks broken off. They get hit. They get shot at. There's just people that are mean. They don't like the ducks. I don't know what the problem is. I guess because the duck pooped on their concrete and they got mad. But I love the ducks. Every time I see the ducks, it puts me in a good mood. I love seeing their funny-looking heads with the warts on it and the waddling and the waggy tail and all that. And I guess to me, it's because I see them not only as friends, but also food. They provided me with delicious eggs, and I've been a couple weeks I haven't had eggs. They provided me with meat. When they cause me trouble, I take care of them. I don't see them as a threat. And I guess a lot of people out there, they're not able to eat duck. They're not able to eat the eggs. They complain when they have all the ducklings. I don't know what kind of sick person would find ducklings a nuisance, because they are the cutest little things you've ever seen. I love that. So, anyway. Okay. Let's see. Why did Rick? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. Have a great day. All right. John, okay. Fingers crossed. Ducks are great. Yes, they are. Okay. Now we got a conversation going here. They'll work that out. I'm not going to try to do that. But on the other hand, let's see. Username. Well, Simply Human, don't worry about it. You know, if somebody is, you know, whatever their opinion is their opinion. I don't care. You can call me whatever you want. You can call me Rick the Quack. You can call me the Duck Man. You can call me Milton's dad. Whatever you want to call me, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Well, anyway, let's talk a little bit about some of my experiences. Now, again, as I showed you, I was able to get another one of these telephone recorders. And the one that I have, I'll show it to you what it looks like. It plugs into my phone. There's a little box over here. And then this one has a jack on it, but this is a 2.5 millimeter jack, which I don't have. Most of the ones I have are 3.5. You can kind of see the difference. See how the 2.5 is narrower? I don't know why they put that on this one, but this, of course, is the telephone patch. This one you can actually stick to the phone. It has the adhesive on it. And there it is. You can see it's made in Taiwan. So it's like 1980s. Thing doesn't focus. Anyway, so I got an extra one. That's what this is. And then I also, what else did I get? Well, the tool I don't have with me. Now, what I've done is I basically was thinking about a YouTube channel and thinking about some of the other ones that I watch. And as you know, I definitely do comment on other channels. Now, a lot of the popular YouTubers generally don't watch other channels. They're too busy making their content, editing, whatever. And their goal is to make money. Now, everyone that watches my channel needs to understand, if you don't understand already, why I go on YouTube. It's not for the money, because as of today, and I actually got a notification from YouTube. It had been 17 years since I posted my first video, and that is correct. It was 17 years since I joined YouTube when I made my video about it, and I've earned absolutely zero. So, nothing. So, I'm not trying to monetize. I'm not trying to make money. What I wanted to do on YouTube was to meet people. That's it. So, my goal was to get to know people, and I think I've been sort of successful with that. Although I've only met one in person so far, it's only a matter of time. Now, there's supposed to be that low-carb get-together in Tampa. My friend Russ is going to make sure that I get there, hopefully in the near future. Now, it's November. By then, I should be riding around in my truck. I should be back to normal, which would be fantastic. And, you know, it's going to be great because I'll be able to meet a lot of people for the first time. I'm still waiting for that time when someone in my area recognizes me from YouTube. But I've come to the conclusion that despite trying to do as much as I can, I'm just unknown. I'm probably known to 0.01% of the population. No one has ever come up to me and said my name, Rick. No one has ever mentioned that I'm on the carnivore diet. So I seem to be failing at that. But I have 45 people right now that have taken their valuable time to watch me or at least listen to me, which is fine. That's why I try to keep the audio at least tolerable, because I know a lot of times when I'm doing work, I will turn on a YouTube channel and I'll simply listen to the YouTuber, and that's it. Okay, so comment-wise, let's hit that again. Name's not important. Thanks, Rick. Yep. Rick's Ducks live the ultimate farm-to-table experience. They just don't know they're on both ends of it. And I went to the farm stall today and got some duck eggs. It's funny how they vary in size so much compared to chicken eggs. That's very true. I've had duck eggs that were the size of medium chicken eggs, and I've had duck eggs that were so big they look like ostrich eggs. Ducks are very variable, and that is interesting. And Foolish Mike says it's finally getting warmer here. Time to put my bike out and get some sun. I want to see more videos from you. You know, the last videos I saw of you were working out and talking, and you need to get out there and show us, because I know that you're healthy and good looking, and you're in that healthy age range that we need to get more of on the carnivore diet. 17 years. Wow. Yep, 17 years. You can look at my YouTube and see. Super dusty here in North Texas today. It's dry here too. Nice stuff, Mike. The sun is peeping through here. I got a live later if you want to ask any questions. Check out his live if you get the chance. I guess, what is it, at 1 o'clock? Like it usually is? I'll have to check it out. When we changed our time, all the lives got messed up, and somehow I got busy and I forgot. I feel much better in the cold. I do feel the sunlight is critical for me. Yeah, I don't like hot weather either, but down here, that's pretty much all we've got. If I want cold, I have to stay here in my room with the air conditioner on. Okay. And carnivore. Okay. Rick, I hope your live stream. Yeah, that's right. I love the cold. Rick says he gives his ducks the best life possible. In return, they give him the best meal possible. Yeah. Oh, my ducks are delicious. People that say you can keep putting layers on in cold weather. I can't keep taking layers off. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Have you ever put 10 pairs of gloves on and still use your hands? Can't put layers, yeah? Okay. Yeah, 40 minutes from now. Oh, well, your live stream may conflict with mine. I guess I'd have to end mine earlier. I've been thinking about making a video to show how well my skin is healed after surgery for skin cancer. If you feel comfortable for it, you should, because I think a lot of people, they benefit from those videos. I think one of the reasons why my channel is not as popular as some of them is because I don't have those before and after photographs. I don't have anything that I can tell somebody that I improved on the carnivore diet. But I do have an interesting life, interesting history. I think I'm the most unique in the YouTubers. There are no other YouTubers that'll sit here in front of a very old microphone with paneling that's falling apart, some souvenirs from when I was a kid, and just talk about, it's a show about nothing, basically. And I have 40 people. It seems like I have 42. It goes up and down. I'm still waiting to see if I can reach that 100 mark. So let's see what happens. Maybe at 9:30, when everybody was used to Mitch's live stream, they may come in. But then again, you can always watch a replay if you want. Now, what I wanted to talk a little bit about was the demographics that watch my channel. Now, I was playing around yesterday. I set up an unlisted live stream, and I had the OBS software running on this computer. Now, this is an older computer. It was given to me by Russ. He was going to get rid of it. So I had it running, and I was trying to put up images. But then when I tried to do a YouTube video, then, of course, it crashed. So I'm still waiting. Now, I've got some other junk computers I'm going to work through, see if I can find something. I've had people say, well, Rick, why don't you buy a new computer? The reason I don't buy a new computer is because I always like to match the capital to the what it can do. And since YouTube doesn't pay me anything, why would I spend money on something when I can just wait to see what appears and hopefully find something that works? Okay, let's see. Bye, everyone. Okay, Movie Goats, I guess you have your things to do around the house. Sandra McDonald, 8 p.m. here. My aircon's still on. Yeah, looking forward to cooler days. I have a skincare video upcoming. Tell is incredible for healing the skin. And Rick, if you want a guest link, I can email it to him. Okay, Juliet, that would be good. Problem is it going to conflict with my thing here? Okay, minimal scars. Plus, my doctor was awesome. Okay, that's a surgery. And Mandy Beddoes says, Rick, you are an amazing person and always give an open chat. You are valued, definitely. Well, good. I'm glad to see that. Let's see those calorie diehards eat 2,000 calories of arsenic. Hey, all they got to do is drink 2,000 calories of diesel. That's not hard to do. I did a video on that as well. It won't kill you, but you'll probably wish you were dead. And Annabella says, Rick, you are a breath of fresh air. Well, thank you very much. I have a feeling, though, that air is probably smoke coming from the barbecue grill more than anything else. I think your setup is nostalgic, Rick. No disrespect. I intended it as it doesn't distract from my viewership. Yeah. But there's a certain menace to your production, which I like. Your voice overrides quality. Well, thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate that. You cannot keep putting on layers on. Yeah, limited to 3 layers. Yeah, exactly. You put on so many layers, you're going to be like a marshmallow. You won't be able to move. And I'll tell you one thing that I've noticed about South Florida, which I find fascinating. If you see workers around here, they always wear long sleeve shirts, and they usually put this cloth around their face. They have just their eyes showing. They look like somebody with a ski mask. Now, obviously, these are mostly the brown people, so I guess what it is, maybe they're afraid of being deported. I don't know what it is. But then again, because they usually have gloves on, they have every part of their skin covered, long pants, so maybe you can't tell who they are. When I was a kid down here, we had mostly white people, and they were the opposite. They wear shorts. They sometimes, most of the time, they had no shirt on. And if they did have a shirt, it was a tank top or something. They ripped the sleeves off. And they wore sunglasses almost always. Sometimes they wore hats, sometimes they didn't. But it was like a whole different thing. And when you look at people in the Midwest, farmers and all that, that's what they do in the summer. So I think a lot of times, I guess it's just they've been covered up all winter. It's like the people that come here for spring break now. They're going to be with practically nothing on. And meanwhile, the workers here, they're always covered up, which I think is really interesting. So I don't know if that's sort of a cultural thing or what, but it's just something that I never understood. Now, I have my typical, I wear my undershirt, which is underneath, and I wear these button-down shirts. I don't wear T-shirts that often, and when I do, it's usually around the house, because what I've found is that with the amount of sweating that I do, and I sweat a lot, the clothes will become wet and they'll stay on you, and it's like wearing a plastic bag, and it's really uncomfortable and really unpleasant. And then the gnats, they come and they just swarm around my head. It's horrible. So, you know, it's just bad. But the thing is, if I try to wear anything long sleeve and go out in the sun, I'll just completely wet and hot and uncomfortable, and it's just really bad. I do always wear pants, though, because it protects me from all the stickers and, you know, the gnats and all the other nasty stuff. So, but then again, that's the way it is. Okay, let's see. You cannot keep putting layers. Yes. I saw an article of American chap come up. He was around 400 pounds, if I had to guess, and drunk 20 gallons of oil from the deep fat fryers he snuck in overnight. Okay. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. And Simply Human says, my parents live in Titusville. 321 liftoff Space Coast. It's a little chilly, 65 degrees, so I put a flannel on. Louisiana in the summer, the farmers wear their overalls with long sleeves so their body cools from the sweat. Yeah, that's true. Sandra says, you're like Rick Professor to me. You know so much on many topics. And yes, I used to teach at Miami-Dade College. I taught electronics and tech math and a couple other subjects. I taught there from the year 2000, 2001 actually, to 2013. 12 years. They changed the program, so I was out. But hey, what can you do? I'll take a look. Usually get mine from Best Meat for large orders. Oh, look! Big Belly Bumbles. Good morning. I'm so glad you wear pants. That was too funny, Ruthie. Yes, I always wear pants, as you can see. They're a little bit short. You know, us tall guys, they always say that we're waiting for a flood. So, I got my pants on. And that's it. Now, in terms of, let's see, I agree that you are like a professor. Are you the mad professor? Yes, I think in some ways I'm a mad scientist, mad professor. But if you looked up, we used to have a website. It was called Rate My Professor. And you would look up Professor Rodriguez at Miami-Dade College, and you would see all the good ratings, how the students, you know, they're always happy to take my class. I was the oddball, and I used to do crazy things. Since I was teaching electronics, we had like half vocational students and then half students that were, you know, they're for the degree. Now, we had an AS degree, And then there was a bachelor's degree they were working on, which I thought was ridiculous. Why would you get a bachelor's degree in electronics technology? Most of the people here who take electronics, they go out and they work for one of the utilities or they work for one of the companies that did networking. You don't need a bachelor's degree for that. What are you going to get it for? I got my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I never used it. The only time I used it was to work at the college. Well, as soon as they changed the program to a bachelor's degree, they say, well, now you have to have a master's degree to teach the class. Now, I had taught the class for 12 years, and some people had been teaching there for 30 years or more. So they had to go and get a master's degree. Why? What is the point? And this is the problem with our educational system. The educational system, they have these continuing education requirements, which is basically just a way of the system supporting itself with money. The idea is this: no matter how much life experience you get, you could invent something. You could be the inventor of the light bulb. But as soon as they came up with an engineering degree, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what you know, who you know, or what you've done. That is all irrelevant. And it's like a lot of the businesses. You can know how to do anything, but if you try to go into business, they won't let you. You know, you want to be a plumber, you have to get a plumbing license. So you have to go to plumbing school, or you got to work for somebody for 3 or 4 years. It's what it is. Unions and educational institutions, they come up with these requirements as a way to just control everything. They want to control the competition. That's the whole idea. They don't want you out there coming up with your own version of what they're doing, because then somebody might go to you. And that's it. You know, it's just it's just sort of the way the system works. Now, the system is failing because, as I've mentioned many times, the system relies on debt. Most of the wealthy people that you will encounter are of the parasite class. Now, not everybody who's wealthy is a parasite, because there are wealthy people out there who became wealthy by innovating. And then a parasite may have bought the invention or the company from them, and now they have all this money. So they were paid this money for the hard work that they did, or they may have provided a service. Now, obviously, you have doctors and you have other people out there who provide a service, and they get paid. How much they get paid is up for debate. I think that a lot of times they don't get paid as much as they should, because the middleman always gets it. You know, you go to the doctor, unless you're paying the doctor directly, there's a lot of middleman involved. So that's it. All right, let's see. Okay, you're like Rick Professor to me. And check out Pipper's Farm. I'll take a look. Okay, I'm so glad you wear pants. Yes, I agree, your professor. Can anyone pour seed oil in their gas tank? If you have a diesel and your diesel does not run diesel exhaust fluid, you can do that. Any diesel will run on seed oils, but if it has a catalytic converter and runs diesel exhaust fluid or does regeneration, the seed oil will destroy your catalytic converter and you will be out thousands of dollars. You have to avoid that. But if you're driving an older diesel and you have clean seed oil, you can pour it in there. If you live in a cold climate, though, be careful, because if you have an old diesel like mine with a rotary pump, the oil can become thick and it can shatter your shaft and destroy your pump. You can also ruin your injectors. But as long as you have warm weather and you have an older engine, you can definitely pour that in. Okay, let's see. I like your thumbnail. Yep, that was my friend that made it for me. Not a mechanic, just a mason. That's also a tradesman. You know, you can lay block, bricks, whatever. Love your positive outlook, Rick. It's up like, thank you very much. Sandy, are you still there? I see Peter's still there. And Ruthie says, I also taught at a community college. I taught basic public speaking, interpersonal communication, psychology, and English. Well, there you go. I'm not sure what kind of degree you had or what program they had, but it's good. And this is what we need. We need more regular people to teach these subjects, because a lot of times people become sort of set in their ways. And then when they try to teach other people, it's very hard to understand because they've been doing it so long, they can't really identify. Piper's Farm has some interesting sausages. Oh, that's good. And Polish Mike says, I like Rick's live streams because they are once a week and each has unique topics, because all I'm doing is sharing with you my experiences. Carnivore Muscle, keep strong. Okay. I like Rick's videos for the odd, on-the-fence, semi-nationalist stance on things. Well, the extreme leftists would consider it to be that way. That's true, but I have a unique perspective growing up here in Miami. You are a good egg, Rick. Well, thank you, because I have no other eggs in the house, so I better be a good egg. But I will join in 30 minutes to watch the most inspirational carnival. Yes, yes. Check out his channel. That's a good thing. I don't want to compete with him. I would end my live stream a little earlier, but I noticed that I get the most views around between 10 and 11, or between 9:30 and 10:30, whatever. If I don't reach 60, then I'll cut back a little earlier today, and then that way, you can go to the other channel. I don't want to be the competitor here. All right. Let's see. And Ruthie says, why do you have Matchbox and other Hot Wheel cars on your wall? Good question. Let's check it out. Now, I've always collect Matchbox. People give it to me. One of the things, even when I was in my 20s and after, people have been giving me this stuff. And you can see over here, there's a date somewhere on this. Or wherever it is. I don't know. Look at what it is. Skid steer. Okay. What else do we have here? You know what that is? Okay. And let's try the other one. Now you can see this is covered with dust. Some of this stuff hasn't been touched. I think there was a date on one of these. Let me see. Yeah, see, like this one over here. 2011. This is a 66 Charger. Over here. This was my favorite car as a kid, 70 Roadrunner. And this one over here, you know what that is? 69 Charger, my favorite car of all time. And it's the same blue turquoise color of the first one that I ever had. Now, when I had it, somebody had already painted it some kind of red color because they're trying to make it like Dukes of Hazzard. But it's here. And again, this is not Hot Wheels. It's actually Speed Wheels, which I don't know. But a lot of times my friends, when they see this stuff in the store, they would give it to me. It's made in China, so it's not that old. East West. Isn't that Walgreens? I'm not sure. But so that's what it is. So as people give it to me, I put it up on the wall. Now over here, you'll see this little license tag. This was a car club that we used to have, Mopar Car Club. That doesn't even exist anymore. Hollywood Chrysler Plymouth. I think now it's a Hyundai dealer. I'm not sure. But that was a car club that I was in back in the 80s and 90s. And, I mean, what's this? Daytona Trophy. So they made these up. They gave them to us. And this has been here for years. Now, you have to realize that I lived in this house until a couple of years after Andrew, where I moved out to my new place. And then I didn't come back here until probably 2010 when I was staying here, because that's when my mom started having some issues. Then my dad had issues. My dad died in 2012. And then after that, I've been pretty much here full time. And I just haven't, I never really changed anything. So this is the bedroom that I grew up in. And there's a lot of stuff here that reflects what I did. It's very rare for someone in Miami to have a place that hasn't changed, because down here, the motto of Miami, they said they should put on the sign, less for more. That's the Miami motto. So whatever you get, it's going to be less for more. You're going to get less value for more money. You're going to get less space for more people. So Miami is basically less for more. I believe the opposite. I believe you should get more for less. You should have a higher quality of life with less suffering. That's the Rick way. That's the heart attack diet mantra. More for less. More fat, more meat for less money. And you get more living in less time. That's basically my way. So you live your life to the full, you have your heart attack, and you drop dead. And that's it. Now, we know you have a lot of people out there. They're in the longevity space, especially in the vegan community. The vegan community, in my opinion, is the biggest fraud that I've ever seen in my life. Vegans are always trying to push this ridiculous, we're going to live longer. We may look like crap. We may be weak and skinny, but we're going to live to 100. And it's really depressing. There's actually a guy that just died at age 99. He was a World War II veteran, and they were showing him on the news. And when I saw that, I was just horrified. He was so skinny. He looked like somebody from a concentration camp. His mouth was like that. I don't even think he knew what was going on. And I'm thinking to myself, the guy's in a nursing home in a wheelchair. If it was me, I'd probably want to be dead. Obviously, you have euthanasia. When our pets get old and they can no longer do their thing, what do people do? Well, I'm going to take my dog. I'm going to have it put to sleep. That's what it is. Wasn't there a movie about that, Soylent Green or something like that? Anyway, but we can't do that because that would be disrespect for God, to kill yourself. But on the heart attack diet, you can do it, and you can do it in a very ethical way. You don't have to worry about, I'm getting old, I'm getting skinny. No, you start feeling yourself getting skinny and you go, oh man, I don't want to be skinny. So I always told everybody, if I was getting skinny and weak, you know what I would think about? I would think about steroid cycle. What do I got to lose? I'm in my 70s or 80s, I'm getting weak. Why not take some steroids? Why not go on a cycle or two? If it kills me, it kills me, right? Who cares? You're going to drop dead anyway. What is better? Living a long time being miserable, barely able to do anything, or going out in a big heart attack where you're over there, maybe you're going for a bike ride and you have that heart attack, or you're in the gym and you're pushing on the bench and your heart goes bam, and that's it, and you're dead. So the thing is, there's a difference. All of us were put into this world unwillingly. None of us chose to be here. At least, I don't think so. The reason we got here is because a male and a female connected in a unique way, and then one cell met with another cell, and it turned into a ball of cells, and eventually an embryo, and so on. So we didn't have any control of that. The only thing we have control over is what we do in the time that we have. And I believe the time that we have was set up at the moment when that sperm and egg cell came together. I don't believe there's anything you can do to live 1 second longer than your genetics give you. So if you want to be like that goofy guy, Brian Johnson, who suspiciously looks like a vampire, he's really strange looking. He's in his late 40s, but he has no body hair. How can that be? That's weird. This guy, to me, is weird. But again, it's his right to do that. If he wants to spend all that money on all of these things that he's doing and eat all that vegan processed crap and take all those supplements and do all this red light therapy and all this other nonsense, that's his right to do so. And I support that 100%. And I think it's kind of nice that he's sharing it, but we all know what his real motivation is. It's not to make people healthier. It's to be rich. The guy was rich, has a lot of money, but once you make a lot of money, it's never enough. So what's he going to do? Of course, he's going to do like everybody else, launch some product and then make money off of that. And what better thing to launch than vegan crap? Because you can take a bunch of byproducts from agriculture and process it up and make it into something that's supposed to make you to live longer. Okay, that's fine. Rather than just eating meat. How are you going to make money if you tell people, hey, why don't you move to the country, hook up with some ranchers and get yourself a whole cow learn how to carve it up yourself. Maybe make your own lard and tallow, raise some chickens, raise some ducks, maybe have some pigs. You can't make money off of that. How are you going to make money off a carnivore? Why do you think I don't monetize my channel? There's nothing that I can do that's going to make me money. How do I make money? I remove trash. I do electrical work. I do plumbing. I even do some automotive repairs, although I don't like to do that. I find auto repairs to be sort of a losing battle. Now, I do work for my friends, and that's it. I won't do work for anybody else because, once something breaks in a car, it's going to break again. I have enough trouble keeping my own crap running, but I do fix equipment, so I guess that's good. And hydraulic hoses. The one person I used to send to do hydraulic hoses, he went out of business. The rent, I guess, was too high, and he had too many problems with the county, so he just gave up and said, forget it. I don't know what he's doing now. Where the hydraulic place used to be is now a print shop. So who knows? Okay. Oh, interesting. Rick, you're my favorite channel, says Rosie Red. Let's see. I missed a few comments here. Rick, is it just me? Or is everyone worked up more about politics these days? And will the Libertarian Party ever have a chance? Well, I consider myself to be a libertarian thinker. And I have to admit, the politics is only getting worse. The problem is the system is breaking. The debt increases and increases and increases. And the only thing they have left is to inflate the debt away. That's what the Federal Reserve and central bankers are for. They use a technique called financial repression, where they rig the bond market to artificially inflate the prices of bonds and lower interest rates. And then the well-connected, the big corporations, the hedge funds and all that, they have access to that cheap money, which they then buy up everything that's so-called assets. They'll buy up a company, and then they will sell the properties to the hedge fund, and they'll rent it back from them, and that causes them to fail. That's what happened with Toys R Us. That's what happened with Kmart and Sears and all these companies. Because once you have the middleman in there, your resilience is gone. So I believe that, no, as the system breaks down, people look to politicians as a way of solving it, and they're not going to solve it. They're going to lie to you. They're going to say whatever it takes to get elected, and then they're just going to keep playing the game. The central bankers will continue to inflate. The economy will continue to collapse. The productive people will constantly be robbed. And eventually, it'll be like that book, was it Ayn Rand or whatever that goofy lady said, that people will just give up. That's kind of what I've done. I don't try to push to try to get any money, because as soon as you make any money, you're a target. People want to take what you have. Then the government comes down on you. As long as you stay below the radar, nobody bothers you because they don't care. You mean nothing to them. And that's it. Okay. Let's see. Rick, you'll probably still be live even a few hours from now. I hope not. I'll try to get off by 11. There's no reason. Since I started the live stream, I've been online a lot. But as time goes on, we're going to reduce this down to a manageable level. And eventually, I'm going to bring back my call-in show. Now that I have another one of these, you'll be able to call in, and I will answer it on my rotary phone, and then I'll put you on the mixer, then we can hear your voice, because I'm too cheap to pay for a streaming service. All right. Rosie Red, Rick, you're my favorite channel. Excellent. Love your topics, and it's amazing how informative you are on so many different subjects. That comes from being old and being relatively healthy. My mind works pretty well for a 56-year-old. I'll be 57 in a couple of months. And although some of the vegans accuse me of dyeing my hair, I do not dye my hair. I do not put anything on my skin. This is why I still have this scar over here. If I wanted to look pretty, I would use makeup. I would hide all of that. I would use good lighting and a fancy camera. But instead, I'm using a webcam attached to the top of a PC in a room that looks terrible because the lighting is not very good. Okay, never took the plastic off. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but where is the 2000 Camaro SS? It's funny, my friend that's a 23-year carnivore, he has, I think, a 2000 Camaro. He got one of the last Camaros. He's a Chevy guy. It's okay. Not everybody has to be a Mopar man. And even me, I drive Fords. And Peter says Rick's voice is very soothing and calm, puts me in a good mood. Well, that's great. I'm glad that I do. Okay, and Legend Mike, carnivore muscle there, pasture pork is lovely. And I know he's allergic to pork, so that's not good. Richard Petty, 74 Charge my favorite. Back when stock cars were stock cars, yes. They were the same car. They put a roll bar in it and stripped it out, put it in a special gas tank, and sent it down the track. Can't do that with the new cars. Let's see. I thought he was much older. I'm not sure who that is. Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson is a scam. Salesman for veggie powder. There you go. The processed slop that they're making money off of. That's it. Can you put straight seed oils in a diesel vehicle, or do you have to mix it? You can put straight seed oils, as I mentioned before, if it's the right vehicle. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Imagine. Yeah, right? Imagine the amazing meat you'd be able to eat with millions. That's right. If I had millions, I'd have a ranch. Then again, I might be selling meat, so I guess I would be selling a product. Actually, what I'd like to do is to start a cryptocurrency based on meat and eggs. That way, you could earn this crypto, and then you could redeem it at any participating farm or ranch for eggs or meat. I thought you could earn this crypto, and then you could redeem it at any participating farm or ranch for eggs or meat. I thought that would be pretty nice. Can you imagine? But the problem is down here, the only thing they know how to farm is two-legged pigs, otherwise known as humans, and they stack them and pack them in these stupid apartment buildings, which really is kind of depressing. I can't imagine anybody actually wants to live in a place like that. Okay, he's selling olive oil. Amazing. The channel, What I've Learned, is showing how scammy Brian Johnson is. Yeah, I've seen that channel. I'm allergic to pork. I support this nonsense 100%. Okay, I think the video about Brian will be very interesting. Fortunately, I can eat all kinds of, all types of meat, but feel best with beef. That's right, Peter. I'm the same way. And let's see. Do you think people being mad about politics is a reflection of bad diet? It could be. I mean, if you're unhealthy, you're going to look at the world in a really bad way. So that might be part of it. That's a good point. I react to beef, actually. Lamb and pork, best for me. Yeah, we are all different. That is correct. Now, some of the channels, I know there's like Frugal Prepper or whatever, he uses fermented vegetables as well. And I make fermented vegetables for some of my friends. So I don't really have a problem with the consumption of fruits and vegetables. I think that for some people it's a good idea. And I know that I'm going to be the enemy of some of the carnivore community because that's how I feel. And I actually supply fruits and vegetables to friends without any guilt because I don't think that all plants are toxic. I think that most of them are toxic, but I think for some people, especially if you have been raised on these plants, maybe your culture has eaten them for thousands of years, you may need to eat some of this stuff. I mean, honestly, I don't think everyone should eat just meat and eggs. But anyway, let's see. All right. Yeah. I think people being mad is a reflection of their diet. I found that the vegans, vegetarians, and many of the folks eating lots of processed foods tend to be angry, impatient. Yes, my vegan friends are very difficult to deal with, and it's all a matter of when you catch them. If you catch them at that time of the month, they are very unpleasant. And then Peter says, I found that carnivores and people doing ketovore are much more calm, patient, understanding, open-minded. That is correct. We are. Rick, there's an English comedy from the 1970s called The Good Life. You might like it. It's about self-sufficiency. It's a nice comedy. I'll have to see that. I've seen a few of those English comedies. They're quite funny. It's not bad as long as I don't go to Poland or something. They eat mostly pork there. I have mostly beef, chicken, and fish at the moment, what I can afford. Yes. I don't understand why that guy got upset about you at the name. Well, I wouldn't worry about him. Rick, do you remember the British vegan I debated? Yes, I do. He thinks he won the debate. They always think they win. That's the funny thing. Okay, I've had a bad night with physical pain. Your voice, Rick, and the chat have calmed me down. Well, thank you. I'm glad that I have. I feel fortunate that I don't have to suffer any of those things, but what can I do? Peter won't follow him anymore. Problem solved. All right. Annabella, I've had the most success with medical and hallucinogenics. Yes, perception versus pain. That's right. And again, those hallucinogenics are generally plant-based. So this is something that, again, if you need the plants, use the plants. Don't be a dogmatic person. You shouldn't have any plants. I know people that have to use things like cannabis. Cannabis is a strong medicine for some people. There's also Melaleuca, which is a deadly plant, but in certain quantities, they call it tea tree oil. I know people that have used that. So again, as a gardener and an amateur botanist myself, I believe that plants have their place. And again, without plants, we would all be dead, because only plants can use the sunlight, which is the source of reduced entropy that keeps us alive. So again, whether you're a carnivore, vegan, or a sad dieter, all life is plant-based. So we can agree. I tell my vegans, all life is plant-based. But then they get mad at me. Well, why don't you just eat the fruits and the vegetables and don't eat the meat and don't kill the animals? Well, that's because those animals are using that extra reduced entropy to make the food more energy dense for me. So my body doesn't have to process all that. So I don't end up getting sick for no reason. Okay. Good morning. I see Ellen is here. Good morning. Yes. One of Mitch's favorite fans. Carnivore muscle, I'm glad it works for you. Okay. We all need different things at different times, I guess. The ones who try to regiment the exact same foods tend to have the least success. That is correct. Listen to him. He's telling the truth. Mandy, I prefer beef, but I can eat all types of meats. Yes. Some people don't tolerate pork or chicken well. That is correct. Thankfully, I can eat both of them without a problem for yourself. Hi, Ellen. Okay. I heard today from someone in the chat that Mitch is going home soon and will be getting physical therapy at home. Yes, I saw that earlier. My recent recovery has been very fast. Been going bananas with a glutathione, Nancy, yeah, methylene blue. Yes, woke up post-op fresh as a button. Well, I'm glad that you are recovering. You deserve it. I give my mom chocolate sometimes. She's out in the garden, working hard, getting sunlight. I don't feel guilty. I wouldn't give anybody chocolate. That would bother me, but I have no trouble giving people fruit, strawberries, tomatoes, whatever. I don't like chocolate because it's a process. It's an ultra-processed food, and it doesn't grow here. You know, if chocolate grew in my area, I'd have no problem with it. It's like coffee. I don't like coffee because it really doesn't grow here. I think you should eat your plants locally if you're going to eat plants. If I want to eat a plant, I'm going to walk out of my yard, I'm going to pick it, or I'm going to go in the woods and pick it there. I am not going to buy any fruit or vegetables from any store because I believe that's fundamentally wrong. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Okay. So happy for you, my surgery. Okay, my truth. Okay. How are you doing? Hiltzi's chat. Terrain theory versus germ theory. The germ theory loses. All right, that is an opinion. Good morning, Rick. Great to see you. Good morning, Ellen. Great to see you, too. I listen to my body with what meat I eat. I do the same thing, whatever I have available. Nice to see you. Okay. Yep, definitely carnivore learning curve once you're a carnivore. 5 years on and still learning. Now, see, once you hit that 5-year mark, then I believe you are a long-term carnivore and things will change. Your chance of falling back into the duck food is 0. You know, I was a carnivore for almost 10 years and I tried the plant-based diet, and after 7 months I was done. It convinced me never ever go back. And if you think that the sinus issues I have now are bad, you should have seen how bad I was when I was on that plant-based diet. I have a tendency to get really bad sore throats. And what I found, when I go plant-based, the sore throat comes back with a vengeance. I had sore throats all the time until I was 15. Then they went away. I didn't get them until I was, 25 or whatever, 24, 25, when I switched to the plant-based diet. And then I almost got to the point where I couldn't breathe at night when I got the flu. It was terrible. Today, I think a lot of times if I do get some kind of germ, it stays up here in the sinuses, and it never gets to the point where it's going to cause me trouble. Now, what I have noticed when I talk for a really long time, I think the resonance of my voice is kind of like a cat purring. because it tends to clear up the sinuses. And like right now, it's working its way out. By the time I go outside, I'll be free of it. You can see sometimes when I ride my bike in the morning, I may be sniffling a bit. But once I get going in the middle of the day, it goes away. And I think it's just we're all built different. All of us, we have some type of defense against the outside. Some people, their skin is very sensitive. Mine is not. I'm exposed to all kinds of plants and dirt and everything. I never have any skin issues. Some people get dandruff. I've never had that. For me, it's a sinus thing. And again, I think that's a small price to pay. I don't have arthritis. My mom had terrible arthritis. My dad used to get like athlete's foot and eczema and all that stuff. I don't have any of that. So I think that this minor issue I have is not a big deal. I really think that it's kind of, none of us are perfect. We all have our flaws. And I believe very much in working with what you have. Good morning, Rick. Great to see you. Okay. Let's see. Great live, Rick. Well, thank you, Mandy. I'm glad you enjoy it. And let's see. I'm pretty good. Went for a walk yesterday. I'm in good spirits. I do get very tired because of pain issues. Yes. I'm determined not to go off carnivore. It's been over 600 days. I forgot how many days. 2 years in July. Thumbs up, guys, for Rick. Well, thank you. That's true. My thumbs up is equal to the amount of viewers I have. So I'm down to 30 viewers. We may cut it off early. Okay, that's true, Rick. Now, lambs, could it be mold in your house? Yes, my house is full of mold, as I've shown in videos. I've had numerous roof leaks. Now, it's not leaking now because I've patched all the leaks, but there is mold in the house. It's not that bad, though, because I've checked surfaces. I actually have a mold test. There's no residue, at least in this room. There is mold in the garage and the storage area, but there is a lot of mold in the house. Now, thankfully, this is all I've gotten out of it. Now, believe it or not, I actually have worse problems in other buildings. When I go to I've worked on offices and condos, I'll start sneezing. I'll have a more extreme reaction when I go into newer buildings because of all the paints and chemicals. My house has not been painted since the 1970s, and there are no chemicals. I painted the outside, but never the inside. So I think a lot of it, most of the things I have are old. They've already off-gassed whatever chemicals they have. The plastics, for example, this stuff is decades old. There's it's a cordless phone now. Okay. There's nothing in here that's really going to cause a problem. Everything I own is just way too old. I have a lot of cotton and leather items and so on. Oh, we got 49 people now. Look at that. We had a jump up. Amazing. 9:30. Yeah, see, about this time we get more people. That's good. So, yeah, I have mold in the house. I know that. And I do a lot of work in some pretty nasty places. And I think even though I do use a breathing mask, that doesn't stop everything. And there are nights when I have more of this, sinus thing going on. It could be just the amount of dirt that I deal with. Plus, I work outside a lot. But again, I feel good otherwise. I have lots of energy. And if you've ever seen, the videos that I've done of stretching out, I did one video, a short video of the sit and stand test, which I know that idiot, some of these people push it at Brian Johnson or whatever, he was showing it. But I can do it. And remember, I'm a person that does not work out. I just do work. And I can do this. I can sit down like on the ground. Most people I know can't do that. So there are advantages. But it's like anything else. There are advantages and disadvantages. Nobody's perfect. I don't know one single person that's perfect. Now, maybe if you're a 20-something, maybe you're a 25-year-old influencer, you're doing good. But I've known a few guys like that. I know a few guys in their 20s, and it's really kind of interesting because I am able to make friends with people half my age. And I think that is fascinating. And that's why I'm hopeful, because I think the younger generation is actually better than we were growing up. And I can tell you why. Now, a lot of people my age, they make fun of the younger generation. Oh, those millennials, Generation Z, they're useless. They don't do anything. They don't want to work and this and that. I'm like, no, they don't want to work for nothing. They want to work and get something in return. Of course, everybody wants to be an influencer. They want to go out there and make easy money. But most of the young people I know, they're willing to work, and they will do the job if they know they're going to get some reward for it. They see the older people sitting back, doing very little or nothing, getting paid a lot of money, and they go, why is this? Why am I over here working in this store, busting my rear end for $15 an hour, and I can't even afford a place to live? And you got somebody else sitting there at a desk making $40 an hour, living it up. They're going to get a big fat retirement. So wisely, they say it doesn't make sense. So a lot of times they will disconnect. And again, I've seen a lot of this in real world. Now, if I look at my YouTube stats, which is something I wanted to share, but the program didn't work for me, my biggest age range is 25 to 34 years. In the 13 to 17 years, I have 0.3%. 18 to 24, 7.8%. But in 25 to 34 years, my subscriber count is 26.4%. 35 to 44 years, 25.3%. And then 45 to 54, 17.8%. And in my age range, which is, 55 to 64 years, it's 13.1%. And 65 plus is 9.3%. So the demographics of my YouTube channel is fascinating to me. You have people half my age that make up the majority of my subscribers. So what does that tell you about the younger generation? There's a lot of hope for us, because once we let those people take control more, these old baby boomers, they won't let go. They do not want to let go of power. They will stay there. They've turned the Capitol building into the world's largest nursing home. You see all these older people constantly holding on. And then many of the younger people are their children. So they want to have that power. They want to control the system. But the thing is, there's no way that they can do that. And thankfully, one of the great things about the way we're made, we don't live forever. Can you imagine if Brian Johnson or any of these people were, they live forever? Can you imagine what an insufferable world we'd have? You'd have a king for life. Can you imagine what that would be? If you want to see what that's like, just look at North Korea. Look at the way their country is run. You have the supreme leader. It's a disaster. Who would want to live like that? Nobody. The only reason they can get anybody to live there is because they don't let them out. I mean, think about that. So thankfully, people, they start off as a baby, they grow up to be a child, teenager, adult. And, you know, when you reach that 20-something-year-old range, I think that's when you're reaching your peak. So if you're going to change your lifestyle, you're going to be self-sufficient or carnivore, that's the best time to do it, because that's the time when you can make the most difference. And then when you have your own children, normally people, I mean, think about it. I never had any children because I couldn't find any suitable mate. But if I would have had children at 30 years old, my parents were almost 40 when they had me, so they were an older generation. So my parents are not baby boomers. They're from the previous generation. But if I would have had kids at that ideal time, they would be somewhere between 20 and 30. They'd probably be 25 to 30 right now. So, and that'd be kind of interesting, because then, they could say, oh, look at my dad. My dad's in halfway decent health. He may not look that great. He's always sniffling, but he's got a lot of activity. And that's something that I think, it's something that we have to work with. Now, again, people judge the younger generation that they're incompetent. But you know why they're incompetent? Because the older generation didn't give them the opportunity. If you're living in an apartment, how much opportunity do you really have? And if you want to get a job somewhere, most of these people that hire laborers here, they want brown people. That's all they want. I have actually done an experiment. I've applied to different jobs, and these landscape people, a lot of times they would put an ad, which was usually in Spanish, but ni habla español. So I just went ahead and I'd apply, and every single one of them, they never call me back. They want somebody, I mean, they don't pay much, $15 to $20 an hour, and I was willing to do that as an experiment. There was one company, they were installing trees along the highway, and everybody that works there is brown, And again, I'm not saying that brown people are less. I'm just using it as a description. a person with brown skin, because I have a couple of friends that are brown, believe it or not, and they criticize the illegal immigrants because they had to work hard to get here legally. And then they complain that the illegals have lowered their wages. Now, my one friend that is, he's Guatemalan, he actually has a business now. He has a nursery and he makes good money. But the thing is, he complains about the people that are here. So, and I do work for some of these. It's one of the friends I work for. Sometimes I'll be the one that's out there with the bobcat moving trees and planting trees and so on. And the other guys, they laugh because they see the gringo out there with the machine. They can't figure it out. They look at me like, and they see you as a failure because you're out there doing physical work. But the problem is, if the younger generation never has the opportunity to perform that physical work, they will never be able to experience the hardship and the other experiences that trains them. Because it's very important to understand that you can't just wave your finger and have things happen. Sometimes people will look at something and they go, oh, I want to do that. And they'll hire somebody to do it, and they wonder why it takes so long. Well, because there's a lot of steps involved. If you want to build a new addition to your house, how many people have done it? My dad and I built a house. So, and we've done several additions. So I know what's involved. I've helped my friends build additions. I even helped a friend of mine build a whole house. I know exactly what's involved, but most young people don't have that opportunity. So when I was 18, I was helping my dad build a house. I learned a lot very quickly. So I have a lot of faith in the younger generation. Now, I think a lot of them have been deceived, but it's up to us to educate them because our future depends on them, not us. For me, when I get too weak to do anything, I'll be dead. That's my goal. I'm going to have a heart attack. And if I'm getting skinny and I haven't got a heart attack yet, then I will definitely look into anabolic steroids to put on some muscle mass, and hopefully that'll accelerate the demise. Because once we kick the bucket, what's next is in the hands of either microorganisms or the real supreme one. But that's, again, everyone feels different. All right. Hello, beautiful. Blah, blah, blah. We failed for the lies. These new kids isn't having it. Yes, that's true. Rick, would you ever consider working for the Miami Police or Fire Department? I seriously doubt they'd want anybody my age. I think that's more of a political thing. So I don't know. Hopefully I'll be out of here in the next year or two. Maybe I'll volunteer at one of the fire departments in the smaller towns or something like that. That might be an idea. Rick, you may have some mold in your house. However, your YouTube channel is a breath of fresh air. Well, thank you very much. Kim appreciates life. I'm very happy about that. And hey, when I move, maybe I won't have the mold issue to deal with. I'm a 9%er, Super Tune. There you go. Hey there, okay. My mom is fitter than me. I asked her, did she eat her chocolate? She said she put it away. Oh, she eats homemade meals with meat and veggies. She's incredible. She supports me being carnivore. That's great. That's great. Rick, I have a different perspective about young 20-somethings. I see them as lacking in endurance, math skills, being on time, and they complain. Well, that's because of the way they were trained. But the thing is, that's only some of them. I think, especially the ones that grow up in rural communities, are different because on a lot of the farming channels that I've watched and some of the people that I know, if they don't leave the farm, now the ones that go to the city, they tend to be lazy. But, the ones that grow up on the farm, they have to adapt. Okay. How are you? Okay, I don't remember when I saw the news about Mitch. Yep, I think it's the company's fault because they rather take lower paid people for us. Yes, that's the problem. They don't care. They just want somebody that can perform the job reasonably well at a low cost. They're not worried about excellence. They're not worried about production. They would rather hire 2 low-quality workers than 1 high-quality worker. That's it. I think a lot of times they're afraid because if you hire somebody that's too good, they're going to be your competition, especially like in the landscape and lawn business where there's a very low barrier to entry. And that's what it is. Okay. Let's see. Give us same jobs as the brown people, but we have to take the pay. I went for a walk and got back, and the live stream is still on. Yes, it is. You know, you can pretty much count on it running to about 11, and then sometimes longer. I hope not longer. Rick will be live for several hours. That's what Peter says. You might be right. Rick, you could be a detective and have Milton as your sidekick. Oh, that'd be funny. I think I would be more like Inspector Clouseau than anything else. But then again, if I was like Inspector Clouseau, that'd be pretty good because they wouldn't be able to kill me, and I'd still solve the case despite being totally incompetent. Okay. Will you sell off the house? Yes, I will sell off the house unless Florida gets rid of the property tax. If Florida does get rid of the property tax, then what I'm going to do with my house, I'm going to do a remodel, and I'm going to either rent it or maybe, I don't know, I'll trade it, something like that. But, I mean, one way or the other, I have no reason to live here, but I will keep it if the property tax goes down, and I might make a seasonal rental out of it or something like that if I can still get insurance. But that's why I'd have to remodel, which means I get rid of the fuse box, put in circuit breakers, change the windows, change the doors, new roof, you know, all that, complete redone. I'd probably have to spend $100,000 to do it, or if I do it myself, maybe $30,000. But I'll manage. You know, hopefully by then I'll have a decent business. I won't be in survival mode anymore. All right, let's see. Do you have siblings? No, I do not. There is only one Rick. My parents were 39 when they had me, and I think it was too late. They tried to have me for 10 years, believe it or not. And I'm not sure what it was, but they were unable to have children for 10 years. And when my mom finally did get pregnant, she didn't even know about it. She thought that she had come down with cancer because cancer ran in her family. But when she went to the doctor and they discovered that she was pregnant, her stomach was not even sticking out, according to what she told me. I really wish my parents would have been alive so they could tell some of the stories about me. I think it really would have improved my viewership because other than my long-term friends, my parents are the ones that would know the most about me. And I am the most oddball that you'll ever see in any of the YouTube streams. Okay, Lizzie says the phones are raising our kids. Yes, they are. But that's because the kids have been trained to use electronics rather than the real world. Parents don't let their kids roam the neighborhood anymore. Schools are prisons now. You can't leave the thing. You got a 6-foot fence and an entrance with a police officer sitting there. Everyone has trained the children that the world is out to get them. They think that every kid is there and is vulnerable to a predator. And they've also separated the generations. When I was a kid, it wasn't unusual for us to hang out at the old guy's house that had the wood shop or the cars. And our parents were friends with them. They'd come over. You'd walk the neighborhood. Kids would walk by constantly. It was easy to make friends because there wasn't much else to do. You know, what else could you do? There was no phone. I mean, you know what a phone looked like when I was a kid? This is a phone. If you've ever seen the symbol for phone, this is what we thought of with the phone. You can actually watch some of the old videos that they have for AT&T Tech Channel that shows how kids used to use the phone. There's one called Telezonia. If you ever get a chance, watch that. That reflects a lot about how I was a kid. And when I was a kid, you know what our ticket to freedom was? It wasn't a smartphone. It was a bicycle. If you had a bicycle, then you were a kid with freedom. You could hop on that bicycle, go for a ride. Down the street, there used to be a cow pasture, and then there was an empty lot. We had the woods not that far away. There were a lot of places you could go and do things, and we built a fort over there where now, well, it was a homeless camp, but now it's part of the turnpike. We actually had a fort over there. We used to go under the bridge. You know, back then there were no homeless people anywhere around here. The only place you could find homeless people was around downtown, and my parents used to call them winos because they were all the drunks. The mentally ill people were all in the state hospital or the mental institutions. When they shut them down because of abuse, they just turned them loose on the streets. And ever since then, this has been a disaster. It's been like an outdoor zoo. All right. I had my daughter at 29 and a half, and she is 29 and a half now. She lives in Miami. Oh, still acts like she's in college. Most of her friends, live at home. Well, in Miami, you can't afford to move out. How are you going to live in this overpriced dump where rent is like $4,000 a month for a crappy house. It's a joke. I mean, the cheapest apartment you can find here is probably $1,500 a month, and that's with hot and cold running cockroaches. Okay, Annabella says, Rick, thank you for the live stream. Well, thank you for being here. For a walk. Okay, Peter says, my biggest fear is getting sick, weak, and slowly dying over many months or years. I agree with Rick. I want to live super healthy for a long time, ending in a sudden and massive heart attack. Yes, that's it. So I'm going to eat lots of fatty, mostly red meat and eggs, butter towel, and enjoy my T-bones, New York strip steaks. That's the heart attack diet in a nutshell, right there. Do you know of any other oddball YouTube channels? Well, I subscribe to a lot of YouTube channels, and none of them are really common. I think most of my YouTubers are kind of oddball. And then Anna says, I need to start lifting more weights, though. Yes, you do. I need to as well. I need to put up my pull-up bar back in the yard. It actually got knocked over in Hurricane Irma. A big branch fell on it and just knocked the whole thing over. And I had it in the backyard. I may actually put it in the front yard on the patio. I'm thinking about actually putting it right across where the patio is, because that was the only exercise I used to do. And, watching a toothpick like me doing pull-ups is pretty funny. So I'm going to do that again. I do have a lot of my old weight plates, Olympic bar. I have a universal machine. I have a pec machine. I got all kinds of stuff taken apart. I used to have a home gym in the back of this house, and I had one under my house, which, again, it's just kind of hot here. But when I move, hopefully I will have an air-conditioned recreation room, which will have a couple bowling lanes in it and a gym next to it. So it'll be a place where people can come over. And the thing is, wherever I live is going to be rural. So I may have my pinball machines out. Who knows? I'll have some stuff out there where you can come over, and I'll invite all my carnivore and other friends. If you want to drop over my new place when I have it, I'll have either a guest house or I'll have a motorhome set up where you can stay. And, it's like Bart K. He gets people to work there. You don't have to work at my place. You can have fun. You could, maybe I'll make you sign a release in case you get hurt so you don't sue me, but you can hop on one of my ATCs and go for a ride, or go in the six-wheeler, or go out there and chase ducks or chase chickens or whatever. You can go bowling. You can play pool on my pool table. You can pinball, whatever you want to do. We'll get together. We'll have a nice, very interesting get together. The reason I don't want to be here is because the yard's too small. The neighbors are too close together. There's too much traffic. Every time I try to do something, it's a mission. So, hey, that's fine. All right. Let's see. I have to walk more. The weather's nice. Boomer McGeezer, do you think people who enter a corporate career and just taste promotions live a sad existence? Well, I mean, if that's what they want to do, it's not sad, but I wouldn't be happy there. I think that the corporate structure is flawed. I call the corporate structure black, white, and gray, because that's all they know how to do. Anytime a corporation takes over something that's interesting, they ruin it. So they go black, white, and gray. They want everything as minimalistic and boring as possible. That's corporate culture. Corporate culture is the opposite of what I call tropical culture, which would be like old Florida, where you had pink flamingos and camels and bears and birds and all kinds of stuff. You had houses with pinks and greens and blues, and everything was just bright and colorful. You had antique cars that had nice curves and colors and chrome, because back then the corporations didn't have the power they do now. So they had to compete with each other. Now they're all pretty much together. All these corporations are owned by hedge funds and private equity, so all they care about is wealth extraction. I'll give you a good example. Look at Las Vegas. Las Vegas used to be awesome. Big neon signs, all these different businesses. Every place looked different. Now they all look the same. Same old crap. And now they're charging you for everything. They even charge you to park. The last time I went there was for a convention in 2005. Every place that I liked back then is gone. They've been demolished and replaced with corporate, McBoxes. Everything is a McBox now. There's no fancy neon. There's no bright colors. It's a McBox. And that's it. And they say, oh, it's upscale. It's elevated. No, it's BS. That's what it is. Bunch of nonsense. Look at downtown Miami. Look at pictures of Miami from the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. And now look at Miami. It's a garbage dump. It's nothing but a bunch of boxes stacked up. I tell everybody that Miami is like my garage. It's too full of stuff and there's no room to walk. That's basically what it is. All right. So let's see. I see we have some things here. Watching a lady say leg muscles, strong legs are so important. Yes. And you can see when I do the sit and stand test, it's no problem. And Peter says I did that for 25 years, then left the corporate world for the past 15 years or so. That's right. Okay. You ride a bike like crazy. I think you're good on exercise. Well, that's a good point. I do like riding my bike. It's better than sitting in traffic. I get more frustrated when I can't move. I'm sitting in traffic and I got nowhere to go. Might as well hit the bike. Okay, sounds fun, Rick. Big plastic makes more money than big glass. Yeah. Anna, move out. Yes. I'm going to move to a rural area. Yes. Rick, so you plan to move out? Yes. I do own a lot, a little bit upstate, which is 5 acres, but I'm looking maybe to get somewhere bigger. I may go there temporarily. I don't know, but we'll see. But yes, I want to move out of here. I want to move somewhere. Now, the problem is I'm used to the Florida climate and the animals and the plants and all that. But if I have to leave the state, I will. And if I do well enough, if I had to move to a northern state like my friend did in Minnesota, he built a giant greenhouse, which is actually bigger than my yard. So that is a possibility. If I do move to a state that has seasons, then I may do that. I may put up a giant greenhouse and then have my little tropical garden and then get to enjoy the temperate climate where people actually don't have to sweat all year round. And you can actually go without an air conditioner more than 14 days out of the year. This year, I've only been 3 days without an air conditioner because even when the weather's cool at night, it's still too hot to sleep. So can you imagine only 3 days you can go without an air conditioner? When we lose power here, which happens after a hurricane or tropical storm, you can be a week without power. Most people will simply move out. But I'll tell you one thing. With my generator and with my ample fuel supply, I live good. I live better after a hurricane than I do at any other time. And the other thing, too, although I couldn't when I was taking care of my parents, now that they've both kicked the bucket, if we do have a hurricane, I will be very busy because I have several friends that do the debris removal, and I'm sure that I'll be there working with them, and then I get to come home to a nice air-conditioned home. And if my home gets damaged, I have plenty of materials. I can patch it up, and I can survive, so it's not a problem. All right, let's see. What do we have here? Okay, Peter's talking about granddaughter. Good. Can't wait to meet her. Yes. Peter, will your ex-video also ex-video? Okay. See, wife. Okay. Phone is changing the words. Yeah. And Anna says, I remember Miami from that film, Miami Vice. Yeah, it was a TV show when I was a teenager. Such beautiful views. Bleach and the bright pavement, palms, and apartment blocks. Most of what you saw in Miami Vice has been demolished and replaced with gigantic high-rises, except for South Beach, which is historic, and even that, they've replaced some of that with high-rises. Everything is a high-rise now. It's really depressing. What to replace soda pops with? What did your friends replace it with? Water. Some people, they will drink those flavored waters. A friend of mine, I know they have this thing comes in a plastic bottle. I don't remember what it's called, but they come in different flavors. It's like some kind of carbonated water with artificial flavors. Some people use that. I myself only drink water, but I was never, when I was growing up, my parents discouraged soda because they rightly believed it was unhealthy. So I never got used to it, and therefore it was never an issue. Okay. Does anyone know the directions to make tallow soap? Again, I don't have enough ashes. I don't have enough materials. But as soon as I burn that pile of wood that I have, I'm going to show you how I make tallow soap or lard soap. I use wood ashes. I use building lime, which is used for plastering. And I also use washing soda. And I'm able to make soap pretty easily, although it does vary. What I've noticed is that the more wood ash lye you use, the softer the soap will be. You add washing soda to it to firm up the soap. You can also use electrolysis to make sodium hydroxide, and I did make a video on that back in 2010, I think it was. But for some reason, it got deleted when they deleted my YouTube videos. So I don't know what that was about. I may do that again. But the setup that I had to make it failed. So I have to make another one. I was using carbon rods from D batteries, and it actually caught fire in one of my videos. So it was kind of interesting. But, it's not that hard to do. I will do it. Now, I have to admit, I haven't been making many videos because this is a hobby. This is not my priority. Since I don't make any money off of YouTube, I don't put a lot into it, if you know what I mean. Again, I appreciate the subscribers that I do have, and I have about 3,300. And I get about one subscriber a day average, so that means I may get another, couple hundred this year. I don't think I'll make it to 4,000 unless there's a boost. Now, in terms of statistics, I noticed that the channel that gives me the most subscribers, believe it or not, number 1 is Homestead How. Number 2, No Carb Life. Number 3, Old Guy Carnivore. And believe it or not, number 4, Robert Kiltz. So I guess they see me on those channels, and then they go ahead and they subscribe to my channel. Now, again, while I was talking about Robert Kiltz, I always saw him as being a used car salesman because of the way he talks and the products. He doesn't really push any products, but he says you have to eat carnivore and fat and all that. But there's a lot of people that have a really good opinion of him, including Mitch, Old Guy Carnivore. And the more I look at him, I think, this guy is not a used car salesman. He actually does care. And I have to say, none of the carnivores that I've ever communicated with don't care. There's a few of them out there that they're pushing their coaching program or whatever. And again, it's like Dr. Barry. I've never been able to communicate with him, so I see him as one of the salesman types that pushes his program. But then again, you have Kerry at Homestead How. He's been pushing his movie. But I like Kerry. I think he's a good guy. I mean, he even mentions me occasionally. I like him. He just seems sincere. And he has a great channel because he has his family, his kids, and he's had a lot of influence on people. So I call him the carnivore ambassador. He's the one that a lot of people look to because he has a long history of trying keto diets. His weight went up and down. You can see, his 10-year-old picture where he's fat, and you can actually see his videos. So that's a really good resource. And I know I get a little frustrated with his fundraising and all that stuff. But in general, I think he's a good guy with a good channel. And there's a lot of good people that go there. I don't always comment there because sometimes you have hundreds of people on that channel. And I'll say hi, whatever. And then I'll kind of listen to it for a while and then lose interest. So that's fine. But at least he's not really pushing any coaching program or anything. He's just pushing that documentary. And he does good. I mean, you can see all the good that he's done. You have Bill Knott, who was basically circling the drain, and now look at him, how much better he is. Bill Knott's a little bit shy. I try to message him. He doesn't really respond. Occasionally he does. But I think he's probably overwhelmed. And a lot of times with these YouTube channels, once somebody becomes popular, they tend to be, I don't know how you put it, they either shut down or they just can't do it. I mean, maybe they're too busy to waste their time with the little people like us. But that's okay. But anyway, yes, that's the way it is. All right, let's see. Everything is beige. It sounds like a corporate structure. Peter, will your ex-wife video? Phone is changing the words. Yes, I remember Miami, Miami Vice. Okay, let's see. My ex-wife and her husband live 15 minutes away. Daughter. Okay, so Peter's talking. And Boomer McGee says, did you ever go to Miami Hollywood Motorsports Park? Not only did I go there, but I actually raced there. They were there until after Hurricane Andrew, and then they closed. And like everything else down here, they sold to a developer, which is the only thing that you can do with land down here. They built a shopping center. There's actually a Sedano's that sits where I think the stands used to be. But yes, I remember Hollywood Motorsports Park next to the Sportatorium, which I had also been in a few times. The Sportatorium used to have concerts, but they also had religious events, and they had what I was in, I think the last time I was there, it wasn't a home show, but it was like some kind of technology show. The place was quite run down. It used to leak all the time, but they did air condition it. I'm trying to remember when it was built. It was built before I was born. But the Sportatorium was a big metal building, and it had like a moat around it, and then next to it was the Hollywood Motorsports Park, or what we used to call it, the Hollywood Speedway. That's what we always called it. Now, my friend Al, he was there when they were taking stuff down. He actually has some signage from the Hollywood Speedway. Now, he put it in one of his containers. It may have been destroyed by now. But if I ever get it out there when we clean up his lot, I'm going to go ahead and take some pictures of it. But yes, and I do have some programs from when they closed. I saw them when I was cleaning up. So if I can remember, I'm going to try to set that aside and I'll show it to you. That's the one good thing about my channel. I've been here such a long time. I can show you history. That's why I was trying to get the OBS studio to work, because I wanted to show pictures of me, pictures of the area, so you can get an idea. I may make those into videos that you can watch, but I wanted to put it in the live stream. I'm going to try to run OBS again one of these days. So if you see me pop up with a live stream, it's going to be a short one, but you'll see me trying to do that where I can get it work. Okay, are you on Rumble? No, I am not on Rumble. I may be eventually. I just don't put a lot of time into social media. I don't do any other social media. I actually have a Facebook page, but I haven't updated it in forever. Maybe I'll link to that. Who knows? Okay, I saw you on Dr. Anthony's live stream. Yes, and I did an interview with Dr. Anthony, which is a very popular one. I've also been interviewed by Sean Baker. I've been interviewed by a lot of carnivores. Dave Mack with his series of interviews. I was his first. So I'm out there. But the thing is, I don't think I appeal to the average person. I think the average person sees me as an oddball. That's why I call myself a quack. I'm not trying to be popular. I never will be a celebrity, ever. That's impossible. That position's already been filled. Kelly H. also pushes her coaching program. I've seen the Kelly Hogan gal over there, but again, that's one of those that I haven't been able to communicate with. You also have the Bella Steak Girl, and then you have Lily Kane, who was, I think, carnivore for a while, but is no longer carnivore. There's a few of them out there. Generally, the gals, they get a lot more views than the guys, because mostly males that are watching, they don't want to watch some other guy talking about his life. They'd rather watch some gal, especially if they do some exercises. Maybe they can check them out. That's the way it works. All right, let's see. Peter, do you know where Lewis L. made an interview last time? I can't find it. All right. I thought it was on Kilts. Okay. I see, excuse me. I see Thomas, Target Prime Rib, is here. Hello. And he's been making videos as well. Check out his channel. It's a small channel, but it's interesting. I remember the Hollywood Sportatorium. I saw a few concerts there in the 80s. Yes, I remember the Sportatorium well. I was searching it on Kilts. I'll search for it once again. Okay. So anyway, we have 34 people. Yeah, we never got up. I think the most we got was like 50-something today. So I guess because I was off last week, maybe the stream has lost popularity, or people are just tired of me. So we're not going to have those really long live streams. Generally, as long as the viewership is above the likes, that means it may be growing. Once the viewership drops below the likes, then it's pretty much over. Now, we've been 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 47 seconds. And usually, I'll start talking. Then I'll hit one of my rants. Then it picks up again. Then it goes down. See, 36, 35. It's kind of interesting. But, yeah, it's one of those things. Let me put some of this stuff back because it's in the way. I'm not going to worry about the order. I think, what was first? This one? I think the 70 was here. Then there was a Roadrunner. Why am I missing? Oh, maybe that one over there. Now, what I want to talk about, when I was a kid. Now, a lot of times, our young people are products of their environment. So think about it. If you're a young person and your parents are raising you as let's say, a helicopter parent's raising their kid, they're not going to let you do a whole lot. You are going to, I don't know, you're going to learn what you can with what you have. Now, when I was a kid, we learned from the television. And when I was a baby, they came up with the show. They used to have a channel called National Education Television. It later be called PBS. It was called NET. I remember as a kid, they had a thing called boo doo doo doo. And then they would have Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. And Sesame Street concentrated a lot on reading, a little bit on math. So my parents put me in front of the TV. I still have that TV, believe it or not. It's stuffed in the attic. A General Electric tube TV. You would turn it on and you'd have to wait like a minute. The sound would start first, and then the picture would start as a line and grow up until it was an actual picture. I had two of them. And one of the things about me, I don't throw anything out. Hold on. Is there somebody here? Oh, let's see. Okay. Okay. I saw somebody getting out of a car, but it's actually one of those Uber Eats or whatever it is, bringing the neighbor's duck food. It's Saturday, so there shouldn't be a code enforcement car, but if there is, I still have some rotten duck eggs that I'm keeping in the refrigerator as a present. So when they try to take their pictures of the house, they may end up with a little surprise. And I mean, I wouldn't throw it at them. You know I'm not going to throw it at them. But it is possible that a duck could locate one of those and just kind of fly over and drop it. Stranger things have happened, like those isolated showers. But anyway, yeah, what I was basically saying is that when I was a kid, we had television to watch. And because of that, my mother, she was a reading teacher. I learned how to read before I even went to kindergarten. When they dropped me off in that kindergarten room in 1973, I was really upset because school to me was just the worst place I could imagine. And because the kindergarten room was newer than the rest of the school, it had sort of that 1970s look to it. So that 1970s corporate look has always bothered me. And you have a room with small windows that don't open. You have those plastic recessed fluorescent lights, those lay-in ceiling panels, the drywall, the plastic lights, all that stuff. That environment has always bothered me to this day. I'm more of a 50s guy. The other part of the school, we had open windows, jalousie windows, the long fluorescent lights that hung from the ceiling tiles with the holes in it, all the stuff that when they built it in 1958. And even in school, they showed us some TV. One thing they would show in school was the electric company. And they also showed Zoom, I think it was called, which is ironic because in the pandemic, they actually used software Zoom. But anyway, so growing up, I watched a lot of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I also watched Sesame Street, and I learned how to read. So when I went to school, my reading was excellent. But the problem was by third grade, when they were trying to teach us mathematics, I had to count on my fingers, and the multiplication was a disaster. Now, my mother, being a teacher herself, she realized that the school was doing a poor job. And she tried to talk to our teacher, but, it was a waste of time. Even back then, school was garbage. So what she had to do, she got me this. Now, the amazing thing is, this thing helps your child master multiplication for life. What is the date on it? 1956. Okay. And they would give you the multiplication tables, and they had records. Now, I haven't played this thing in I don't know how long. I wonder if they would give me a copyright thing. Then again, I'm not monetized. I may do this just out of curiosity. I was amazed that in my room, up here in this storage area, which you can't really see, but it's actually up here, this thing was there. And they give you a quiz. 2 times 1 is, and it was interesting. And since it was in the 50s, it had sort of a 50s big band kind of thing. So I would listen to these records. And for years after, I always thought about it. And again, the last time I played that was probably 1976, because I remember it was around the bicentennial that they had that. So, and again, I still have the record player. This is the funniest thing. Here we go. Here it is. This is what I used to play it on. And again, it was up in the attic. It's like everything else. Back in the 80s, when they were starting to change everything, I got to the point, oh no, why is my phone? Oh, it's a spam call. You can see a lot of times the light is blinking. See, but there's no ringing because it is a spam call and it hasn't gone through. Eventually, I'm going to put my phone number on the wall so we have our call-ins. But anyway, here it is. There's my record player. Look at this old beast. Look at this. It's got the little thing on here. There it is. I would like to fix that case, but the record player itself is still in good shape. Look. RCA. Now, I remember this. It has this little thing in the middle where you play the 45s, and I had to take this off. I forget how I used to get this off. But anyway, it's plastic arm, it's very basic. And I had another record player, which was from Montgomery Ward, and it's probably here somewhere. It may be, I don't know, it might be in one of the other rooms in storage. But this one, and then it has a thing you can, to get the arm to go up. Very interesting little record player. And I would sit there and I'd play these records, and it was really interesting. And again, this could be one of the reasons why I like old music so much, because the stuff that I listened to when I was growing up, and then every time that I had a success, it always seemed to be associated with this 1940s, 1950s sound. So, but that's a good example of the background I had. There was no smartphone back then. I mean, seriously, our family was too poor to have a touch-tone phone because they charged $1 extra a month for the service. So what we did, we just had our rotary phone. And in fact, up until the 1990s, when touch-tone became standard, when I would register for college courses using the new STAR system over the phone, because there was no internet, I would have to use a rotary phone to dial the number, and then I had a touch-tone phone right next to it. So when I had my desk set up, I had a rotary phone and a touch-tone phone. I would call with the rotary phone, then pick up the touch-tone phone, and then enter whatever keys I needed for the menu. So that's it. All right. Rick, I think I have 60 to 70% male audience on my channel. Yeah, I have a lot of Americans main audience, which, yeah, there you go. If you're a woman, you're going to get a lot of males that want to view your channel. I remember the Hollywood Auditorium. Okay. Let's see. Wait a minute. There is sun today. Will you be riding a bike? I don't know. I have a lot of work to do around the yard. I need to get the Bobcat. I need to move an engine and some other stuff. I might ride the bike. I might go over to Fresco y Mas, maybe taking half an hour off, because it's like a half an hour to 40-minute round trip. I may take some time out. I guess if I don't spend all day on the live stream, maybe I'll do a bike ride. I know some of you like it. Some of you think it's boring. But you know what? You can't please everybody all the time. And since this is charity work for me, I'm not trying to make money off of it. I really don't care. But yeah, I might do that. Okay. Annabelle, do you do live streams? Okay, are you Catholic? No, I am not Catholic. I don't have a little Catholic thing. I tend to be very suspicious of most religions. So, Catholic. I have a lot of friends that are Catholic, and they do have some pretty good schools. I tell everyone I would like to see the public school system disappear, because public schools are just prison camps, and I'd like to see those schools, turned over to different groups. For example, if I had a group, I'd like to buy one of the schools over here and restore it. They remodeled it, which made it awful. So I'd like to restore it to what it was before, but that's not going to happen. But yeah, religious, I am very suspicious of religious groups, but I think that some of them, they do have a point. And when people are religious, as long as they don't become radicalized, they're actually better people than when they're not. Because then a lot of times you have to use, you know, you're thinking, well, I want to do something wrong because God's watching me. And they're more likely to be, I don't know, just do the right thing. Hard to say. Plus, religious groups generally are better at distributing funds than the government is. You give money to FEMA, you probably never see any of it. But a religious group usually, if it's local, they're going to give stuff away. And I've known a lot of groups, they gather up resources and they give it out. They just don't waste as much as the government does. Okay, let's see. All right. Why is it so hard to find a competent contractor in Miami versus the Midwest? That's because Miami has a lot of illegals, foreigners, and you got to remember, Miami is a place where scammers come to spend money. And with all the scammers that we have here, everyone lies about what they can do. Plus, with all the scammers that live here, people figure might as well take advantage of them. You got some rich person here that's throwing money around. You know they stole it from their country. Why not steal from them? It's just a mentality. Plus, the wages here are crap, living expenses are high, and you sit in traffic all day. So why would you spend time doing a good quality job when the next time somebody buys a house, they're just going to tear it all out and redo it anyway? So who cares? It's all disposable. That's what I think. Okay. I'm talking about somebody. I used to have a cassette tape of Winnie the Pooh that I listened to a lot. I have a lot of old cassettes too. It's a cute record player. Yes, it is. Hi, Rick. Hi, BK. Annabella, you got to make sure to not restrict your food. Yes, that's right. That's what Dr. Barry always recommends. That's what I did. Okay, UP syndrome. Have you ever had to deal with a maggot wounds on any of your animals? No, I haven't. I've had ducks that were injured. I actually had to stitch duck feet, but no, I have not. Let's see. Peter, I think I saw part of it and must return. Anna Peter confirmed it. Okay, I like the bicycle ride videos. Well, I'm glad you do. Rick, I think we have a troll in the chat. UP syndrome. Troll is a relative term. Asking a question is not trolling. You know, insulting somebody personally is trolling. If anyone is insulting somebody in my chat, I will remove them, but I am open to all questions. I don't get offended. That's part of being a carnivore. Live was good. Well, that's excellent. I'm glad. You know, I'm sorry I couldn't join in, but if you have your lives any other time other than Saturday, I will be there anytime you want me. UP syndrome, you're asking some really strange questions. Well, that's okay. You know, there might be some ex-vegans in here asking strange questions. And unlike the vegans, I don't ban anybody. I don't shut anybody out. This is the chat where we have the elites. And when you have elites, you're always going to have a few quacks too. So you're fine here. But again, I draw the line at personal attacks. If you attack somebody personally, I will remove you. Other than that, you are welcome here, and you are welcome to comment. And I will also ignore comments that are personal attacks on me. I generally don't delete you for that. If you want to say how unhealthy I am and how annoying I am, you're welcome to say that. But on the other hand, if you attack any of my elite subscribers, I will remove you without question. But other than that, we're good. I've never had to remove anybody. It's like when I used to teach classes. I told everybody I never give anybody an F. If you get an F, you earned it. That's it. And I also promise everybody, if you attend all my classes and do all my assignments, you will pass. There is no way that you can fail. You may get a C, but you will pass because I will make sure that you do the work. But what ends up happening is that the people that can't do the work, they just drop the class, which is good. That's what I like about college versus regular school. When they put you in elementary, junior high, or what they call now middle school or high school, they basically, you're in prison. You cannot go home. You cannot leave. Once you set foot in that property, you are in detention. You will not be allowed to leave. But when you're in college, you can choose the classes. And this is what I'd like to see happen to regular school. I would like to see mandatory school eliminated. I would like to see schools as more of a social club. When I was a kid, we used to be able to go to the school field, play basketball, play baseball, whatever. Now, They cut off the entrances. They blocked them. They put no trespassing signs everywhere. You can't even set foot in this stupid thing. And with all the tax money, I pay at least $4,000 or $5,000 a year in property tax just for the school system, and I can't even use it. So to me, that's wrong. That needs to be changed. Oh, it's for the security of the kids. That's nonsense. Nothing's going to stop a kid from going into school with a weapon and shooting up the school. I don't care if they have metal detectors. I mean, think about it. All you got to do, have a kid inside the school, and when they're outside going at lunch, anybody could walk by, throw a gun over the fence, and just shoot up the whole place. And what's going to stop somebody from coming in there if they really wanted to get to school? They could drive their car right through the fence and shoot the whole place down. You're not going to make people secure by making them afraid, by using so-called security. It doesn't work. The only way that you can make people secure is by training them what to do when things go wrong. We have fire drills. Why don't we do that with the terrorist nonsense? Why is it that we don't have other people that are armed in the school besides just the police officer? What about some of the teachers? What about, I don't know, the janitor? Anyone that is mentally stable and competent should have some way of fighting back. And I think that one of the most important things to avoid being a victim is to be able to resist. I mean, think about it. What is so special about a police officer? It's somebody that's trained. Why can't other people receive similar training? Why not? Personally, I don't think there's any hope for the system. The system is failing, and I think eventually it will have to crash. And whether or not God takes over, or whether or not they have World War III, or whatever happens, there's going to be a decline. And we'll all be gone by then. But the future generations hopefully can learn from us, if there are any future generations. Or, hey, the sun could turn into a supernova and wipe out the whole solar system and we're all gone. But, hey, what can you do, right? Anyway, enough of Rick's rants. Let's go back. Now, we have 32 people. We have less than we have likes, so we might want to end this. But let me go through some of the comments here. And let's see. Okay, live was good. Yeah, okay. I'm going to a shop, but I'm listening. Listening is always good. I do that. I'd be lost without carnivore. That's what Annabella says. I saw your comment. You were right. I do have to be careful not to restrict. It's something I can still struggle with. Yeah, don't starve yourself. Eat what you want. That's the beauty of this lifestyle. What about attacks of kindness? That's always a good thing. It's a good thing. I think in general, most people, when they're satisfied, are generous. It's when you have people anxious, deprived, ill, whatever, that's when they cause problems. And most of the people that shoot up a school or drive through a crowd, these are people that are mentally broken. It could be from poor diet. It could be from a poor upbringing. It could be from whatever nation they came from, that they were just, trained badly. There's a lot of reasons that people can get to that point. And I think the secret to avoiding a tragedy is to recognize who these people are and deal with them in a way that they will not be a threat. And most people, they're like a duck. Think about it. When a duck is fat and happy, they're not going to fight with you. They're going to waddle around. They're going to make funny noises and quack once in a while, and that's it. They're going to be happy until one day you put them in the kitchen, and then that's it. But with people, I think of people like ducks. I mean, think about what ducks do. What is a duck's life? Duck starts out as an egg, hatches, becomes a duckling, cute little duckling, runs around, tries to avoid being eaten. If it survives into adulthood, then what does it do? Well, it's going to mate. So it's going to look for a mate. It's going to go around and mate. And then you raise more ducklings. And people are basically the same thing. People just want to eat, mate, have pleasure, and that's it. That's what everybody wants when it comes right down to it. That's why the corporations, they take advantage of that. You ever heard that term, sex sells? It's probably one of the reasons why advertising doesn't appeal to me. I used to watch commercials as a kid, and I never wanted to buy any of those things. To this day, I can watch commercials all the way through. And I have to admit that I've never seen a product that I wanted, ever. So what do I want? Well, when I see something that I can use and it's a good value, a lot of times, even stuff I really don't want, somebody will give it to me and I'll find a use for it. But if I have to go into debt to buy something, think about a car. In my entire life, there's never been a new car that I wanted. That's why I make fun of the people with exotic cars. You can ride around in your Lamborghini or you can ride around in your Ferrari and you think you're really happy, and maybe you are. But I laugh at you because I see this overpriced pile of crap. Yeah, it's got great performance, but how far are you going to go in Miami traffic? I mean, seriously, you got a car that can go 150 miles an hour and you're going 5 miles an hour as I ride by you on a bicycle. Isn't that ironic? Even if you wanted to try to outrun me, you can't. I mean, obviously, I guess if you could try to get up on the sidewalk, but as soon as I go between the two palm trees, that's it. You're done. And it's funny to me. You're cramming yourself in a city with millions of other people, and you want people to look at you like you're something special. And yet, there's nothing special about you. You're just another person, a victim of the consumer culture. So it is kind of funny, but that's the way I look at it. All right. Is Elon Musk overrated? Elon Musk, in my opinion, is a con man. I think he thinks too much of himself, and I have a feeling that he will eventually be the laughingstock of the world. But for now, he has access to easy money, and he makes things happen, so he's going to be popular. I try to eat high calories, carnivore muscle, lovely heavy bag. Yes, it is. Sorry I didn't do your live, but eventually. Is that overrated? Elon Musk SpaceX is rescuing the 3 standard astronauts space station. This rocket just launched on his way. If it wasn't for government money, there would be no SpaceX, by the way. Is that overrated? I think it is, honestly. Elon likes eating steak and eggs. I don't know if he's carnivore. Well, all the rich people like steak and eggs. Rich people don't eat bugs. That's for us. That's for the poor people. Space rescue is not overrated. No, it isn't. Would you say staying out of debt is the best way to fight the system, like the Duke boys? Well, you know what? That's my lifestyle. I've always been out of debt. I've never been in debt. And it's funny you mentioned the Duke boys because, that's kind of like me. I guess in a way, I'm sort of like I'm living in Hazard County because Boss Hogg is crooked. Dade County is like Boss Hogg. And yeah, I guess that's a good way of thinking of it. I'll have to remember that. That's pretty funny. Okay. My video is about medication and autism symptoms. I don't have Rick's gift of gab, and my brain died a few times, but my friend saved the stream. Yeah, that's it. That's why it's good to have a co-host, unless you're a blabbermouth like me. Having a co-host is great. Notice that when I go on other people's chats, I don't talk that much. I respect their chat. I let them do the talking, and I come in when necessary. So that's why they say that mine is like a rant, because I do a rapid-fire chat, and then I leave. Okay. I'm glad I'm able to make some income without raising an arm. I'm grateful. I'm glad you are too. You really do need to. Yeah, because you don't have too many options. You're not going to be out there moving garbage like I do. Have you heard from Mitch? Okay, I've not. A few hundred years from now, Elon Musk will be compared to geniuses like Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Alexander Graham Bell. His companies, SpaceX, are revolutionary. Revolutionary. Scam companies, who knows? I think Tesla's overrated. Again, if you have enough funny money thrown at you, you could do anything. If they were throwing the kind of funny money at me that they threw at Elon, I would probably have Rick's regeneratively raised Muscovy ducks or something like that. So, who knows? I would think if I wasn't so unpopular, there might be a whole Rick revolution where the 1950s comes roaring back. You had people driving around in these flashy chrome-covered cars and living in ranch houses full of trees. Celotex ceiling tiles come back. You have those light fixtures. You have neon everywhere. You can only imagine what the place would look like. You drive into a city and it looks like a miniature Las Vegas. And all these barbecue places with the neon flames going around. There's smoke everywhere. You can only imagine. And then, Rick City, you have homes, like a lot of homes now, they're on the golf course. Of course, they developed all the golf courses. You go to Rick's neighborhood, and you have your homes on the cow pasture. And instead of a condominium high rise, you have a condominium cow pasture. So you have your single family home, and then all the land around it is part of a collective that everybody owns. It's a cow pasture, and you're free to let your cattle roam all over the place. So the only thing is, you either have to pay a monthly fee or you have to be part of the maintenance crew that goes out of there. And that's I thought about it. It'd be kind of interesting if I could just get the popularity that some of these people have. If they would watch Charger Mopar instead of Mr. Beast, I might have enough money. I might do that. I would look for some property somewhere, maybe a few hundred acres, and then just turn it into a rural and residential development where you could own cattle, and your cattle would be part of a herd, and then you could go out there, and then you even have like a community slaughterhouse where you can slaughter your cattle and you can process your meat. That would be great. I always thought about that would be interesting. It's just like some people talked about having a racetrack with houses surrounding it. I thought that was another thing. Because even though I'm against condominiums, I like the idea of having collective space along with individual properties. So, and then basically you could get it if you own the county. If you had your people in the county commission, you wouldn't have to worry about code enforcement anymore because they'd be your friends. In fact, I wouldn't mind being county commissioner or even county mayor. And then that way, when somebody comes into town, let's say one of these people from Miami comes in and they build a McMansion, they pave their yard. I'll send my code enforcement out there. I'm like, no, you can't do that. You can only have 5% of your yard paved. You're going to have to take out all that concrete, and you're going to have to replace it with either mulch or cow pasture. And then they go there, I want to have my McMansion. Oh, no, not in my county. You got to have that as brick or rock. You can't paint that. Oh, you got to put plants on that roof. Oh, it'll drive them crazy. So that would keep out all the undesirables, because all these people that want to show off their Lamborghini and live in a McMansion or a condo, they'll leave. And it'll be just the carnivores, the farm people, the quacks, the goofy people will come in. They'll be like, okay, you'll have a county with no debt. And then on top of that, you'll be able to have tourism. I mean, think about it. If you had a county that was like the 1950s, like rural Florida in the 1950s, you could have motels. You make like remember those 1- and 2-story motels where they had the giant neon sign in the front. They had crazy things like flamingos and camels and all that stuff. It's like they used to have here on Sunny Isles Beach. Now you have stupid condo towers called Bentley Tower and Porsche Tower and all that crap. But there used to be these little motels. So you have your motels. People come into town. You might have an ATV park where they can go riding, because that's real popular. Everybody here is riding around on the street. And down here in Miami, they've turned most of the nurseries into these so-called agricultural parks. So, it's, hey, instead of that, you just go to our little county and have some fun. Hey, maybe you get in trouble. Maybe you get arrested. Maybe not. Who knows? Now, if you do get arrested, you get to come to our 1950s style jail, which has the iron bars and the keyholes and all that stuff. You might even end up in a hospital, which would also be 1950s style. So it'd be like going back to the mid-century period. That's like they did in Brazil with Brasilia, except you do it here. And it's all cattle central. So you'll have so many barbecue places, you won't know what to do. You come into town, they're like, where's the McDonald's? Oh, there's no McDonald's here. But you can have a burger. There's a burger place down the street. You can have a quack burger. What's a quack burger? You go there and there's ducks waddling around outside. What kind of burger do you want today? Do you want our locally raised beef? Would you like to have some pastured pork? How about some heart attack chicken? Oh, that's the good stuff. Oh, don't forget our vegan menu. Yes, we have some locally sourced fruit, and it's free. You can walk outside and grab it. And yes, we have sauerkraut available with all of your burgers, if you so choose. And we have our famous heart attack buns made from pork rinds and eggs. And the eggs come right from over across the street at the hen houses. I could see it being very popular. Can you imagine a county that's carnivore centered? All those barbecue places we used to have. I have a whole series of pictures I want to show you in a video of like the bonfire barbecue, the pit barbecue, all these places. They would usually have like pigs or, cows in a neon sign. They had Black Angus Steakhouse where the cow rotated around on a neon sign. They had neon flames, arrows, all these neat places. Flynn's Dixie Ribs, all these barbecue places. What was the other one they had? They had, Uncle Tom's Barbecue. I don't think that's there anymore, but they tried to revive it, but it failed. But I'm thinking a bunch of barbecue places, drive-through barbecue places, and of course, the park that we would have, which if it's the county that I'm in, it's going to be loaded with grills. So you go to any of our parks and you're going to see grills everywhere. There's going to be meat cooking. It's like that goofy video. I'm a vegan. I can't have meat smoke coming into my home. So if you come to the county that I'm in, you can be sure that it's going to be a carnivore's paradise. And unlike today's Midwest, where everybody is fat, I can imagine the people that would live in my county would all tend to be lean. They're either going to be tall and lean like me, or they're going to be shorter and muscular. And if you do see a fat person, that's probably a new resident. So it would be quite interesting. And unlike most counties where the hospital would continue to expand, I'm sure the hospital in my county would stay exactly like it was for decades to come. And that and the fact that not too many people are going to live there. And any apartment buildings that I would have would be around town. They would be mostly short-term rentals. And, of course, if you're going to build the way I like it, all the apartment buildings are going to be built with stone and terracotta, just like they did in the 20s and 30s. It'll be around the main part of town. The rest of it will all be ranch homes out on the prairie. So if you want to live in my county, you're going to be living next to a cow pasture, maybe a racetrack, maybe an ATV park, who knows. But you're not going to be living zero lot line. I want everyone, when you live in a home, to look out. You're either going to see a lake, you're going to see a river, ocean, cow pasture, forest, whatever. I don't want you to have to look out and see a neighbor behind you. You might have a neighbor next to you and across the street, but not behind you. And the other thing, too, is getting rid of traffic. Instead of having all the traffic that we have in Miami, because everybody's packed in, people should drive less and maybe have some bike paths. Railroad track with bike path next to it on both sides. I would encourage increased cycling, even in our hot climate. Because I do believe, even though I went many years without riding a bike, I think that cycling, at the very least, is something we should do. Now, I know a lot of people, they like to exercise in the gym. If you go by the gyms around here, it's mostly young people, and that's a good thing. They have one place called EOS Fitness, and they have another one called, I think, 24 Hour or LA Fitness or something like that. And I've gone through there, and I've watched, and it's mostly 20-somethings. There are a few older people, but I noticed that a lot of the 20-somethings are into the gym culture, and that's a good start. But working inside of a building under artificial lighting is probably not ideal. I don't even like being inside. But again, if you look at the lighting I have, you can see there's a lot of this neon, which is red lighting. So that's pretty good. Anyway, okay, let's see what we got here. Got a lot more comments. Got 44 people. Okay. Rib meat is my medicine. I've written novels. Okay, good. The Amish do that. They get into their own community in a rural area where they kind of isolated from too much restriction. That's true, although they don't really take over the county, which is what I would like to do. Just take over the county, get your people in there, and you're good. He did a good interview months ago with our CEO. Yep, I've seen that. I buy myself diamond paintings. Okay. Rick is the ultimate plant-free hormonal powerhouse. Just give him a shot of TRT. Well finished. That's funny. I like that one. Annabelle, hello, dear. Okay. I went for a walk yesterday. I still have pain. Carnivore paradise would be perfect. And it's possible. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I think if just enough of us, it would take maybe 400 or 500 of us to get together and move to one county. The secret is get in the institutions. You need at least half of the county commission. Get somebody, maybe get one of your people in as a sheriff. Get somebody in, your local department, even your local DMV. Get your people in there. That way you have leverage. And then when they try to pick on people like they do in this county, you can stop it. If you get an oddball in there, instead of trying to force them out, try to celebrate it. If they're in the good way, celebrate them. If they're one of these Miami me people, then you embarrass them. That's how you do it. When they try to show off with their exotic car, you show off with your old trucks and your antique cars. And then when they build their McMansion, you laugh at it. Every time you drive by, you laugh at it. Look at this box in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, you live in your home surrounded by plants, ducks, and other things. And when they attack you directly, then you hit them. Then you send your code enforcement out there to put them in their place and tell them, no, you can't live like this. You got to live like us. That's what they do to us in the regular world. Why can't we do that to them? And the ironic thing is, our county will actually be the most environmentally sustainable in the whole world. Because even though we drive diesel trucks, and even though we have antique cars, we will drive less than they do because a lot of us will work from home. Why would you have to go to the city and sit in an office when you can do the exact same job in your home? And when you have people you work with in your area, you could do all kinds of work. It doesn't have to be physical work. In fact, if everybody was like me, the need for physical workers would be very low. I mean, think about it. If everybody was like me, how many brown people would you need? This many. Because everyone does their own work. You'd fix your own house. You do your own yard. You raise your own animals. You don't need slave labor when you're an independent person working with others. For example, let's say that my tractor broke down, all right? I could fix it. Well, what if I didn't have the parts? I just call my friends. Hey, I got this old International tractor. I need a head gasket. Do you have one? No, I don't. But somebody will eventually have one. And they'll say, okay, I'll order another. So you go and buy it from him and get it done. Maybe you have an engine that the valves are no good. They need to be reground. Well, I don't have a valve grinder, but I have a friend that does. So we make a deal. Hey, how much will you charge me? Oh, $150, I'll grind it for you. Okay. And you do that. Maybe they have a milling machine. So the trick is everyone in their home has their specialty. Like me, I have a hydraulic press that I can use for making hydraulic hoses. When you live the carnivore lifestyle, your need for consumables is very low. You still need things like belts, tires, hoses. You're going to need nuts and bolts and all this stuff. But most of us keep enough junk laying around. I keep enough junk laying around to be self-sufficient. But I have things that I don't need. I have rooms full of stuff that I'll never use. But I could trade or sell it to somebody else that might need it. And the other thing, too, is if you live in a community, the other thing that I would consider to be very important is technology. Now, you would look at me and say, well, Rick, you're the opposite of technology. You don't care about technology. You don't even have a cell phone. Well, I do have cell phones, but I don't have cell phone service. But the thing is, I am the biggest promoter of technology that you'll ever meet because I believe 100% that technology improves your life if you use it the correct way. When I was a kid, all we had was long distance phone calls. If I wanted to contact somebody from a long distance, I would send a letter. It was cheaper to mail a letter than it was to talk for a few minutes on the phone. Now I can video conference from people from Australia and Great Britain and South America, anywhere I want to. I have that ability because of technology. But yet my interface to the technology remains old because I like to pick and choose the technology that I want. And the thing is, the lifestyle, the carnivore lifestyle, gives you enough health and strength that you can do things. Now, if you were previously damaged, either genetically or from an accident, it's not going to turn that around. But for most people, if you don't eat duck food and you don't live like crap, you go outside and then you have relationships with other people. Now, one of the things I hate about Miami is that I don't know that many people here. I have neighbors. I talk to them sometimes. But usually what happens with neighbors, they may be friendly at first, but over time, they're so busy working and they're so busy with their own life, they don't even talk to you anymore. They don't care. Now, obviously, people don't want to be bothered. They don't want people telling them what to do. But I do have friends in town, and I relate to them on a daily basis. I have a friend that I talk to almost every day, and he lives about 5-6 miles away. But, he's the one that helps me find stuff. I have other friends that help me find stuff. But it's really important because knowing people, having connections is a key. Also, openness. One of the reasons that some people become fabulously wealthy is because they keep secrets. What they do, they accumulate wealth generally through fraud, taking advantage of others, and then they promote that as like something to aspire to. But they never tell you exactly how they did it. Well, they might tell you what they want you to hear if you pay them enough money. But in general, that's the way it works. Now, if you have a completely open and technologically equal society, then if somebody's starting to accumulate a lot of money, you could simply look into it. Well, what does this person do for a living? What do they own? Oh, look at those stock trades. They've been manipulating the bond market. I see they got money all of a sudden from this source. And you can actually realize this person is probably a scammer and avoid them. So with the proper amount of information, you can make educated decisions and you can cut off the extreme wealth gap before it ever happens. When you start to see somebody getting too much, you can simply cut them off. But if everybody's fighting with each other, they're going to look to these charlatans and they're going to give them the money. And then what's going to end up happening is they're going to become the overlords. And this is what happens. This is the reason why the world will never improve, because there's always individuals that are going to be pushed to the top, and then they're going to take advantage of that. Okay. Why do I keep hearing a pressure washer? Let me look outside here. Oh, my goodness. I see what that is. That is interesting. Very interesting. It's always the same. Okay. You know, over here. It's really interesting because my neighbor across the street, they always seem to have newer cars. They rent the house. I think they spend $4,000 a month. Guys in the septic tank business. But one thing that I never see them do is go outside. Now, he does have a boat, so they'll go out there and wash the boat, do whatever. But when it comes to their cars, they pay somebody that goes there, pressure cleans and details the cars, which I think is kind of funny now. Obviously, I'm a bad example of that because I only wash my car when I can't see out the window. It's so rusty and so much, just full of holes. I don't like putting water on it when I don't have to. I put more roofing paper on it to keep the water out. But washing a car to me is something that you do if you're a classic car guy. But most people here, they pay somebody. They even pay people to wash their animals, which I think is really funny. Now, thankfully, I have a cat, so I don't have to wash my cat. He washes himself. And speaking of cats, I think it might be that time to open up the door and let El Toro in. Because I know you want to see my co-host. So let me get him. I'll be right back. Oh, Milton. Come here. Come on. Milton. Come on. Come here. Let's go. Oh, my little buddy. Come on. Come on in. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Get in here. Over here. There we go. Hello, little Cuddles. Oh, what a pretty cat. What's the matter, little Powder Puff? Come on. Come and get it. There he goes. There's my little buddy. All right. Hello, Milton. Kiss, kiss. Come on. Yes, he's a good little kitten. He's a sweetie. He's a soft little kitten. Yeah, he's a cutie. Are you a cutie? Yeah. Okay, so I let him in, and let's see what he does. See how long it takes for him to bite me or attack something or play. You scratching? You don't have fleas. You better not have fleas. You silly pet. Anyway, can't really see him because of the position. Maybe if I move this back a little bit. There he is. Anyway, so let's see. 39 people. Oh, you still got more than that. That's good. Okay. I value optimism and strength. All my left leg is swollen from the cyst in my hip. I pray a lot that God will heal me. I'm doing my best. I hope so too. So glad carnivore helped your pain so much. I have less rubbish on carnivore diet than a sad diet. Well, that's good. I value your optimism and strength. I have to buy lots of clothes on carnivore. My fashion look is baggy clothes off carnivore. Yes. ChatGPT is ultra helpful for me. I use it daily to manage medication, organize my life. I think you also use it for narrating your videos, which is good. Okay. Best investment for me. There you go. It means a lot. My dad was a Cockney. He taught me how to be a fighter. I've heard Cockneys are cheerful people. I try hard to be positive and happy. That's good. Are you red pill? There's so much corruption in the world. Yes, there is. Up syndrome. Patents shouldn't be a thing. Well, patents are not bad. I think patents are actually pretty good because it's like 20, 25 years. I do support that. Copyright is what I would get rid of. Copyright should be limited to maybe 25 years like it used to be. But you got to remember that the parasite class gets a lot of money from copyright. So somebody will create, some type of media, and then they'll sell it to these corporations, and to preserve their value, corporations want a perpetual copyright, so they keep extending it. You had that Sonny Bonehead, who was a singer. I think he actually killed himself by skiing into a tree, so that would have made a funny cartoon. But Sonny Bonehead extended copyright to basically forever. And they keep trying, because you got big companies like Disney and Warner Brothers and all these companies that don't want this stuff to become public domain, because corporate culture is about wealth extraction. They're not about wealth creation. Individual creators are about creation. So a limited copyright to protect someone for a few decades is good. And what I would do if it was up to me, I would come up with a tiered system. It would be like this. You have exclusive right to all copyrighted material after you register it for 25 years. You could extend it for another 10 years if you pay for it. After that, it becomes limited public domain, which means anybody can use it as long as they're not making money off of it. So if you wanted to make a YouTube video with music in the background and you're not getting money for it, then that's perfectly fine. But after 50 years or 60 years, depending on what the term would be, then it would become fully public domain and you can do whatever you want with it. But I would extend it so that whoever created it, as long as they live, they would be able to monetize it. So whatever timing that works out to be, 75 years total or whatever it is, 80. So that's how I would do it. And then that way, all of it would be on a blockchain. So if any works were published with copyright, it would all be registered for free in a blockchain. And then whatever the work was, you could simply look it up. You wouldn't have to go through the complex process we have now. And then you could determine whether it is copyrighted, if it's limited public domain or fair use, full public domain, or what it is. And that would get rid of course, the attorneys wouldn't want that because they'd lose a lot of money. The system would reject it. So the system is the way it is to keep parasites alive. And one of the biggest parasites, of course, is the attorney. Now, obviously, I have a friend that's an attorney. He agrees with me, though, because really AI could replace all attorneys right now if the system was properly structured. But instead, they make it difficult. Most people should be able to resolve their grievances without the need of an attorney if they could understand the system. But, the system protects itself, therefore nothing good will happen. Milton is a cutie pie. Yes, he is. He's a cutie, and he's sitting here licking himself. He's all friendly. ChatGPT, let's see. Carnivore muscle, I caught my painkillers. Oh, good. I hope I don't make a mistake. Can have less painkillers if I'm fasting a lot. Well, that's good to know. ChatGPT is basically an input search engine. You can create spreadsheets with your data, analyze things, answer questions, create calendar appointments. AI is how I make narration vids. That is right. That's really good. My pain goes up if I do 20 plus hours of fasting and my autism doesn't flare up. Yeah. I don't like fasting either. When I go without eating, I become disagreeable. Let's put it that way. Who controls the system? Central bankers. Central bankers control the system. The system is controlled by money. Debt is their slavery. If you are in debt, you are a slave to them. It's that simple. If you don't go into debt, they have less control over you. We live in a world of duality. Lots of corruption and also a lot of good in the world. Yes, I need to remember that when I get sucked into fear and negativity. And again, as I said, most human beings, as their nature, will be generous if they have excess. There are some people that are mentally ill, and sadly, those are the ones that are usually pushed to the top. The people that are extremely selfish, pathogenically so, because you have to realize that if you are completely selfish, you will be eliminated. If you're in a group of people and you take everything for yourself, what's going to eventually happen? The rest of the people are going to cut you off. You're going to be thrown out of the community, or you may be simply turned into fish food, because that's the way it works. There always has to be sort of a give and take. Now, a lot of times what will happen is one of the people that's a taker is physically bigger than everybody else, and they can overpower them or fear them. But the thing is this, even if one person is so much more intelligent or so much more powerful than the others, if you take a handful of average people, they can still overwhelm the one person who is the elite of their group. So what they don't realize is the people at the top, they rely on people below them to protect them. If they were vulnerable, if you took one of these ultra-rich people and you threw them into a crowd of poor, aggravated people, they don't have a chance. Let's say that you took one of these rich executives with a very fancy car and you put them in the worst neighborhood in town with a lot of desperate people and no police to protect them or security. There wouldn't be much left. Everything they have would be taken. And that's basically how it works. So, although there's good and bad, the system